My wife went out for the evening, and the baby has been crying ever since she has left, and I'm losing my freaking mind. My wife went to a concert with her sister and left me home with the baby. I want a goddamn drink of water and maybe a few minutes to clean the kitchen and take a shower. She has been crying nonstop, and I can't wait for my wife to get home. She is on maternity leave, and I have to work tomorrow, but I can't exactly complain to my wife about the baby because we are both parents. So I complain to the anonymous people of Reddit. And before you guys judge me, I am taking care of my daughter, and I won't say anything to my wife when she comes home other than ask her how her evening was. I'm allowed to vent anonymously. My being an asshole here allows me to be normal IRL. And look, it's not that you're being an asshole or anything like that. It's normal for the parents to lose their mind at the screeching crazy baby. More so for mom, because mom, as we know, does a lot more of the work in general, like a lot more of the work, obviously like growing the baby and then having to birth said baby and whatnot. But look, you're totally normal to be like, yeah, I'm losing my mind. This baby is crazy, man. I am glad that you are persevering and doing what you are supposed to do as a parent, but also letting her go out and have a little bit of goddamn fun. That's nice. Hopefully you continue to do that for her sake, because that's going to be very appreciated on her end as time goes on. I can guarantee you that. So good on you. You can keep yelling into the void. It's very cathartic. It is very therapeutic. It's very helpful. It's much, much better than letting it fester and turn into some kind of dumbass explosion on your partner or otherwise. Just remember, the more time she spends with you, interacting with you, the more you become a safe space for her, almost as good as mom for the soothing quality. I'm not saying you're not as good as your wife. Sucks now, worth the investment later. You're not being an asshole here. I'm a mama, and it's hard. It's valid to feel overwhelmed and frustrated. Hope she settles down for you. And I'm sure she will. She'll run out of energy at some point, or just maybe have a little moment of, you know what? This is a little ridiculous. I'm being ridiculous right now, because babies can do that, you know. They're very smart. I got the last laugh today against my brother and his wife. Oh boy, I shudder to think what the hell this could mean. During the 2009 housing crash, I purchased a 4-bedroom home for $350K in Newport Beach. It's now valued at $1.75 million. That's cool. I let my brother and his wife move in, and they pay enough rent so I make a bit of money and the mortgage is covered. I could rent it for $7,000 a month but charge them $2,500. I mostly did it for my 3 nephews. They go to a good school and live in a very good area. Plus, I get to see them a lot. I do not get along with my sister-in-law. Recently, she and I got into an argument about moving in her sister and husband. I said, absolutely not. I'm already subsidizing your rent, and I'm not going to subsidize your families too. My brother and sister-in-law did sign a lease with general language about needing my approval to move in another tenant. My sister-in-law has never thanked me for letting them live there, despite her being the one who benefits the most. She doesn't even have to work because of the rent that I charged. Really? Well, anyway, whatever. Well, my brother sided with her, so I said, I'm gonna both of you up. I changed my estate plan from leaving my brother my house if I died to mandating that the house be put up for sale and having the profits split between my 3 nephews. My brother was pissed and asked me why I did that. I said to make sure that your wife never ever gets my house. If I die, then you get it. Then if you die, then your wife gets it. Over my dead body. I'm not attached to the house. I can't live with myself if there was even a 1% chance that some ungrateful gets my house like she won the lottery. So now they're uncomfortable. Their house is not as stable as they thought, but they can't afford to rent or buy a house either. Dude, $2,500, they can afford, I'm sorry, maybe just different circumstances, obviously, you know. I know you could charge $7,000 a month rent or whatever, but like, $2,500 a month is a ton, man. I mean, I don't know what the average mortgage is, but I do know that the mortgage in the home I live in is about $1,700, and that's a pretty big chunk, man. Maybe it's just, I don't know, the last few years it's worse than it is before or whatever, but damn, they can't find any other home at all for that price. I guess not in the state that you live in. I don't know what state Newport Beach is. I just don't know. I don't know. But geez, that's kind of a crazy scenario, dude. Make it so the money sits until they go to college or reach age 21, so she can't make excuses to get into it. I made it 25 years old. That's fair. 25, not bad. I've manipulated my husband by strategically sleeping with him for more than 20 years. You All right, what does that actually mean, though? I mean, I see a joke here, obviously, but there's got to be a little bit more to it, though, right? Like, just a tiny bit more. I've been married for going on 30 years. Many years ago, I realized that on the weekends, if I got up in the morning and did whatever I needed to do, made breakfast, took care of the kids, cleaned, etc., my husband would just stay in bed all day and watch TV. If I wanted to take the kids somewhere or suggested we go shopping or hiking or hang out with friends or literally anything, my husband would say he's worked hard all week and he wants to just relax. So we do nothing all weekend long. But if I started the morning by sleeping with him, shortly after we're done, he'd get up, take a shower, and be ready to conquer the world. So if I want to have a lazy day at home, I get up and do whatever I want. But if I want to go do something, I sleep with him first thing in the morning. I know I'm intentionally manipulating him, and I don't actually care because I feel like he's getting what he wants, and so am I. Look, I haven't been married for 30 years. I don't plan on being married, really at any point in my life anymore. But this doesn't seem like a problem. I feel like if you brought up like I noticed this pattern, he would probably go, "That's pretty crazy. Keep doing it." I don't think he's gonna give a shit. And if it's not something that's actively upsetting you or some sort of negative influence on you in any way, cool. As you said, you're getting what you want, and you're assuming that he's getting what he wants, and it seems like it's working. Which it's kind of crazy that that's energizing him, though. I figured that would only stand to, I don't know, make him lazier and sleepier or whatever for some strange reason. But no, if it works, man. Noticing a behavior pattern and finding a positive way around it or to modify it like this really doesn't strike me as manipulation. I'm pretty certain your husband would feel the same way. Being in a relationship is supposed to be mutually beneficial, and I feel like you nailed it, no pun intended. Plus, I'm sure you're having a good time with this idea too, okay? Sure, like you said, you get what you want, but I feel like, during the act, you're probably not going, "Man, this sucks." As long as everyone gets what they want, I see no issue. His penis? I agree. Penis? I accidentally started a year-long prank war with a total stranger, and they have no idea that it's me, okay? You've got me hooked. Now reel me in, my friend. It all started with a simple mistake. I was at a coffee shop, distracted, half awake, and when the barista called out Jake, I grabbed the drink without thinking. A few sips in, I realized my mistake, but it was too late. Some poor guy named Jake was probably inside wondering why his caramel latte had vanished. The next day, I walked in and saw a sign near the register. "If your name is Jake, double check your order." I should have let it go, but something about it made me laugh, so I decided to keep the joke going. I started leaving cryptic sticky notes around the shop that said things like, "Jake knows." Asked the barista in a hushed tone if Jake had been in today, and once even wrote, "Thanks for everything, Jake," on the community chalkboard. Sometimes I'd order under his name and tip extra, just to confuse him. Over time, the barista started talking about Jake like he was some kind of local legend. And I have no idea if the real Jake has any clue what's going on. I don't even know who he is. But at this point, I think I'm in too deep. Jake, if you are out there, I'm sorry. But also, are you okay? I don't think you've ruined this man's life. Hell, you know what? He probably stopped going to the coffee shop, or at least this coffee shop, after his order disappeared. I know that might sound petty, or it might sound like I'm making the guy out to be a petty jerk or something like that, but people kind of do that, One negative interaction or negative experience, while it shouldn't, does cause a lot of people to just off. It really does. So Jake probably has not been in since that day at all. And the fact that they brought it up and said, "Hey, if your name is Jake, double check your order," or something like that, I don't know, it makes me feel like he might have complained and annoyed the baristas or something like that. I don't know. I'm looking too deep. It doesn't really matter, but I've just got a sneaky surprise. He doesn't show up anymore, But whatever. This is one of those rare, perfect examples of a mostly harmless prank in which no one gets hurt, harassed, or traumatized for social media clout. Aside from the mistakenly stolen coffee that was the true innocent bystander in this situation. Jake, if you're out there, please phone in. Let us here at EmKay know if you're doing all right. And also, make sure to actually talk to OP because he's the one that actually called out to the void in the hopes that you're doing all right. We hope you're all right out there, Jake. We all love you, man. The worst mistake I ever made was telling people that I had won the lottery. Oh God, did you actually? Or did you just tell them that? Because, man, either way, you're screwed. Oh, you did. I won the lottery about 7 years ago. Between my annuity and profits made from investment investments, all net, I get shy of about $800,000 a year. I don't like you. I'm just kidding. We're all envious. That sounds amazing. I was stunned that I had won. Once I confirmed that I won, I started to tell people. I thought they'd be happy for me. They were happy for me for a minute, and then they'd start to ask me for money. Friends and family. Then they told people. I was literally getting 10 calls a day from people asking for money. My favorite was the sister of my coworker saying she needed rent money, and a friend asking me to buy them a $20,000 ring for a girl he had only been dating for a few months. And she was f***ing other guys on the side. How do you know that? Whatever. Some people successfully used me and I cut them off. I still helped some people, but I had to cut them off because they were asking me for money only to give it to others or using the money for something different. It was very traumatic. I even had a therapist try to rip me off by asking me for a cash tip after our sessions. I was spending more money on people than on myself. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's kind of the hope. Like, I know your perspective on this. People are only talking to you so that they can get money from you. But I've always said if I were ever in a position where I'm just, damn, I'm doing awesome, because $800,000 a year is incredible. That's more than 99% of the human race is really ever going to see as a yearly salary, right? I would be, once I got my affairs in order and I knew I was set, I would, of course, be spending more money on other people than myself. By a long shot. But again, I see where you're coming from, though. I'm not trying to paint this guy as some kind of stingy douchebag or something like that. Anyway, it's ironic that I have more money than I need, yet I can't give it away because it brings nothing but problems. People make generosity not worth it. See, that I can also see. People will take a mile if you give an inch sometimes. I can totally see that. People want me to finance their best lives and have the arrangement be exclusively on their terms. I will never understand why people can't accept one thing without trying to get more. I chalk it up that people in my life had no respect for me. Probably not. I would assume the same as you in that regards, that you're unfortunately surrounded by people that I guess didn't really like you all that much or something, and well, here you go. I really hope that things have gotten a lot better though, and can I borrow $20? 100 stories I've read like this. If I ever won money, nobody would know. Oh, I wouldn't be actively telling people at all. If I could hide my identity when I claimed the prize, you bet I would. And then people that I know I could trust. I mean, I wouldn't say, hey, by the way, I got $10 million up my ass. I would probably do something like just start spending money on people. Like I've got friends that have debts I would probably wipe out. Try to do it maybe anonymously or something like that. If possible. If not, I'll just, be vague and weird about it. Like, don't worry, man. Just don't worry. No, I got it, man. It's okay. Yeah, your car's breaking down. Well, let me get you a new one. It's fine. Don't worry. But no. Everything's okay. My brother received a settlement from a work injury. He's a millionaire. I am far from it. I have never asked him for anything. After his injury, while he was fighting for his settlement, I helped him and his family get out a lot. It was never explicitly, but heavily implied that he intended to give me a substantial sum once he got the settlement as a thank you for all the help. That wasn't required, as we're family, and I would have helped anyway. He got a settlement about 8 years ago. That gift never happened, and once he got his money, was never mentioned again. I'm not jealous of what he has. I would never want to go through what he had to in order to get it, but there is a part of me that still thinks about all the times he talked about how much he was going to give me once he got his settlement, and that part of me resents him. I can see that one for sure. Like, you're a good person, for certain, and I don't think your brother's a but I can say, as big a game as I talk about what I would do if I suddenly had $1 billion, I understand that suddenly having what seems like infinite resources at your disposal, especially after living a life of having almost no resources at your disposal, would do something to your brain. There's gotta be some kind of a study done on what it's like to suddenly have money, like legitimately have tons of it, more than you'll ever need, right? Again, not to say that your brother's got more than he would ever need, but still, it changes your brain, and then it suddenly becomes, for a lot of people, like, well, I don't want to get rid of it. No, I want to be really smart. I don't want to go bankrupt. I don't want to do this. So I gotta just not talk about all the times I implied. But it does suck. It does suck that it seems like your brother potentially more than hinted at helping take care of you when you helped take care of them. It does suck. Hopefully one day he goes, look, man, I was just getting everything in order, and you know what? Happy birthday, here's a new car. Or happy birthday, your next year of mortgage is taken care of. Something like that. You know what I mean? I cheat when I play Mario Kart with my wife and son. I played Mario Kart when I was a kid, a lot. I noticed that for newer Mario Karts, if you don't get an early lead, you end up fighting with a bunch of CPUs, and you'll often get stuck in 8th or 5th place or whatever. My wife and son don't game, and they get easily discouraged when losing again and again, getting shot and zapped, never able to get first. It's not hard for me, and I like playing with them, so I always intentionally get 3rd place. I sit back when the race starts, and I basically just f*** over the CPU players, never letting them get close to my wife and son. They're so ecstatic and love playing now, and they even tease me. But honestly, it's a more fun challenge anyway. I'll never tell them I'm not playing the game normally. Wait, let me go back for a second. This is cheating? I mean, is holding back to let them win considered cheating now? I mean, I don't know if I agree with that sentiment. I mean, if that's how you see it, that's how you see it, but that's not what I would consider it. You know, my opinion being incredibly valid here, and you actually watching this video, for sure. I don't know, I just don't see it that way. It's nice, and it's cool that you found a way to make them feel better about the game, while also still giving yourself a challenge of sorts. You know, just screwing over the CPUs and not frustrating them, you know? Because it's one thing for a bunch of sweaty-ass gamers to bitch about people not playing Dark Souls correctly or something like that, but it's another thing when people who don't play games, or don't even really care about games, or are really young and don't have those skills built up yet, are constantly trash-talked by people that do, and played against like they're pros or something like that. It's discouraging, and gamers, if you do that with people in your life and actively like frustrate them and make them maybe not want to play video games or something anymore, you need to chill the out. I'm just saying. This guy found a way to make it more entertaining for himself, and you know what? Maybe one day in the future, the kid is gonna grow up and go, I know, Dad, you don't have to hold back anymore. We should still let Mom kind of win, though, every now and then, because that's just nice. Let's let Mom enjoy this thing she normally doesn't enjoy with us. You're playing the long con. When your kid comes home from college and wants the family to go play for old time's sake, the gloves come off and you eviscerate them. You better keep playing daily if you want that to happen. I did that with my son in Madden, let him win by a few points here and there just to keep him interested. Then I stopped playing for like 6 to 8 years. I can't score on him now. That's right. You had better be prepared to keep your skills fresh, man. Don't let that go. Keep practicing, and one day he will have to earn his place in this family, in this household, by finally dethroning you. I kept my promise to my mom that I made 20 years ago. Oh boy, what's the promise? My mother didn't help me pay for college or any expenses. Ever since I was a senior in high school, I worked 2 jobs so I could pay tuition. If that wasn't bad enough, she started to ask me to help pay for rent. My mistake was being honorable by helping her with rent, whereas my siblings didn't, or they didn't go to school or work. I knew I was subsidizing them. In my junior year of college, I needed my wisdom teeth removed, and my mom had never given me my health insurance card from her job. My jaw was killing me. She was so evasive about it. I called her HR to see if they could get me a copy of the card, and they said my mother removed me off of her insurance plan. So for 6 months, I had no dental or health insurance. Instead of a $400 copay, I ended up paying $3,500. I had to get care credit and make payments. The f***ed up part? I couldn't afford to be put under. So I just got Novocaine, which did very little to help. That wasn't cool, and even worse, that she didn't tell me that she did that. So I told her that I will not help her when she gets old. 20 years later, my mom is declining and definitely needs help with everything. She relied on my other siblings, but they had their own families. I'm single, without kids, and have disposable income and work from home. I was asked by my siblings if I would help my mom with groceries, doctor appointments, and even taking her out for strolls. I said no. My mother knows why I won't help her. She never apologized or offered to help me pay to fix my teeth. No matter what anyone says about my choice, my mom's choice to take me off of her insurance is way more f***ed up. Not that it matters much, but I can now authentically forgive her. I hope. What a messed up situation all around. I know that what you've given us here in this story is what is our business. The rest of it, not really our business, okay? But I am very curious if there was ever a reason. Did you ever confront your mom and go, hey, why the f*** did you do that? It doesn't, because to my knowledge, it does not benefit you to remove people from your family's insurance, right? I mean, did she get like 50 extra bucks a month back on her paycheck or something? What was the part there? Because I tell you, my mom never even for a second thought about removing me from her insurance until the day I was legally required to be removed from it, which really cool. That's a thing here. But what was the goddamn reason? You were doing all this work to help out, not just her, but your siblings, and she took you off. I don't know. That's insane. That's just absolutely insane to me. Hopefully some things can be reconciled. I really do hope that, you know, but keep that promise, I guess. She made her bed and now she has to sleep in it. I don't know why your siblings can't help. Seems like they got a free ride compared to you, and plenty of people help their parents even when they have families. They should be willing to help her. Seems like they just want to take advantage of you. I'm assuming you're the oldest? Good on you for not giving in. Yeah, that's the other part, is the siblings. Why aren't they helping at all? What's their problem? I mean, you can have a family and still do stuff. That's very possible. But sure, it's a little more difficult, for sure. But it does sound like they just don't really give a shit about their mom in the same way she didn't really give that much of a shit about you. They just won't admit it or anything like that. They want you to do all of the goddamn work, because why should they have to? They're just used to not having to, I guess, at this point. Again, based on what little information we were given here, that's just what it seems like. I'm angry for you because I know that if you have 1 child or 10 children on your insurance, it's the same cost to you. So your mom screwed you over for no reason whatsoever. You don't have to forgive her. You just have to be able to live with yourself. Man, if that is true, I didn't know that part was true. I assumed that, like, it might be a little more extra here and there off of your paycheck or something, because that is how that works. You get a decent rate, I guess, but it is taken out of your paycheck. At least that's how it worked when I had it. But no, that's kind of crazy. 1 or 10, the insurance is the same cost to you. That's really cool, Mom. That makes the whole thing significantly worse in my mind. How neat of her. I'm not even dead yet, and my family is fighting over my assets. I have terminal cancer and opted to cease treatment. I don't want to suffer for 6 months or torture just to live 6 more months when I can do in 3, but be high as a kite every day. Oh, I see. I have about $500,000 in my pension and recently cashed out 2 life insurance policies worth $1 million each. Damn, you could do that with a terminal illness? Anyway, originally my beneficiary was my niece, but she found a and there's no way I'm giving a tweaker $2.5 million. Probably a good call. At first, I thought my family cared about me, but they were just jockeying for my money. I've never heard the term jockeying before there, but all right. They've gotten to the point where they openly badmouth each other to me and fight like cats and dogs. The worst is my sister-in-law. She wants that inheritance to pay off her debts and their family home because she's planning on divorcing my brother. My other sister doesn't need the money and would probably spend it on her spoiled kids. My other sister is a loser and her kids are all messed up. Her daughter is the tweaker. Ah, I see. Okay. If I leave it to my mom, then she'll give it to my siblings. I have an aunt who doesn't want the money. I told everyone that they will all get a piece of the pie, sister-in-law included. Reality is, I'm not leaving them. I'm leaving it all to help Ukrainian kids. Man, I hope you're still here. I hope you're still here, because goddamn, I hope you miraculously make it out, man. Unless you've already given all that money away. I'm kidding. That would probably make you crack a smile, okay? That is probably the best course of action. It seems like they're just gonna do all with it properly. Have you thought of donating a large portion now so that there's less for them to try and fight probate for? Because they definitely will fight your will. I've known of some people leaving family members as little as $1 so that they can't say they didn't get anything. I wish you the best for the rest of your days. Yeah, I've heard that same thing too. I feel like we've all heard that a little bit over the years that I've been here, that, you know, they recommend that you leave them at least $1 or something really small, so that way there's not really any way you can contest, like, well, they didn't leave me anything. They forgot about me. They just completely forgot. Well, no, they didn't. They left you $1. They left you a rug in the basement that they didn't want anymore. That sort of, you know? I'm not at all smart when it comes to legal stuff, but that's just what I've heard. I got a paternity test on my son behind my wife's back. Dun dun dun! This one kind of sounds like a soap opera twist moment. What do we get? What do we got? Show me the good stuff. I got a paternity test on my son behind my wife's back. 2 years ago, we had a baby boy, and from the moment he was born, I felt like something was off, and it was obvious. Our child didn't look like us. Now, I get that children don't look like parents often, and you have to wait to see how they look later, but this was different. My son was blonde, blue eyes, with very fair skin. Uh-oh, it's not me. I didn't do it. I am Mexican. My wife is Colombian. We both have a slightly darker skin tone. Think Salma Hayek's complexion. Okay, I can see it. We both have dark brown eyes, black hair, and dark brown hair. Not only that, both of our parents have dark hair and brown eyes, with the exception of my mother, who has hazel eyes. All of our grandparents had dark hair, brown skin, and dark eyes. How was my child blonde with blue eyes and hair? I had people tell me that lots of babies are born with blue or gray eyes and darken up, and their skin and hair change vastly as well, which is true, by the way. That can't happen. So I waited it out and assumed the child was mine, but here we are, 2 years. And if anything, his eyes are more blue, more blonde, and lighter skin. Oh my God, your son's getting white. Your son's turning white. No, okay, anyway, sorry. He does not look like us. I started getting comments on how he must be the mailman's son or some weird looks or jokes. I was once questioned at a park if the child I was playing with was my son. My wife has always been asked if she is his nannies. Anyway, and it makes me feel so angry. My wife never thought it was a big deal and would say people are just playing around, but I know some people think I'm raising another man's child. It started to wear on me. I had no reason to think my wife cheated on me other than his looks. It was eating me inside, and I took my son to get a paternity test without telling my wife. Well, turns out he's 100% mine. I was so relieved. I wanted to show this to anyone who made comments or joked about my son not being mine. That night, I casually asked my wife if she would have been now the secret spill, dog. Mad if I got a paternity test when our son was born, and she reacted very offended that I would even consider that she cheated on me. She said it would have affected our relationship negatively knowing I couldn't trust her. I played it off that I was joking, but now because of the test, she was correct, and I had no reason other than the way he looked. Now I have replaced the feeling of doubt of my child with guilt. Now I feel like an insecure asshole. I don't know if I should tell her or keep this locked away forever. I can't entirely blame you for this, although I guess it doesn't really... Like, if my son didn't look entirely like me or like mom, usually you just take that up to, a recessive trait or something like that that's just been carried down for generations in the family and just BAM! There you go. I feel like that was probably more likely. But I can see how someone that doesn't know about genetics, 99% of us really, would probably go, yeah, no way, my wife totally slept with another guy. Well, I reckon that you learned about recessive genes. He sure did, folks. I've been pretending to be a far-right extremist to show my family how stupid they sound. Title sums it up. Helps that I have an anarchy tattoo because I'm far left. Adds to the far-right persona. I've grown sick of my family's MAGA rhetoric, so I decided that I'll pretend to be extremely far-right to make them as uncomfortable as they have made me. Maybe it'll show them how ugly their views are. Here are some of my talking points I've used throughout the past few months. Elon's a dirty immigrant. He's not even a real American. He's a filthy foreigner. He needs to get the out of government and go back to Africa. Look at this DEI hire. Kid's got brain cancer and gets the job over a more deserving white man. Bullshit. Why do I have to send my money to Israel? They mistreat Christians and nobody wants them. They've been kicked out of 109 countries. Don't you think there's a reason for that? For the record, that's a lie floated around among anti-Semitism online. Jewish people weren't actually kicked out of 109 nations, but my dumbass MAGA family won't fact-check that. And finally, my personal favorite. For reference, most of my MAGA family members are old and rely on social media. I can't wait until they take the Social Security away from these old They're just takers. They take and don't put back in. If they need money that bad, get a job, freeloading pieces of shit. All of them are parasites that don't know hard work. That's the gist of it. I feel bad for some of the groups and individuals I have to speak ill upon to keep this persona, but it is what it is. I admire your commitment to this bit, but people that think that way, they're probably just gonna go, yeah, hell yeah, brother. I'm sure that some of them get a little bit like, well, you gotta calm down, man. It's not that serious right now, stop it. But none of them are gonna ever see what you're trying to show them, unfortunately. They won't. And it's not because they're actual dribbling, drooling morons like we think they are. It's because they don't want to be embarrassed. They do not want to be wrong because it's embarrassing. And in that fear of embarrassment, they will actively plug their ears. La 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 la, I can hear you. They won't do it. They'll give up all the benefits that they have worked their asses off their entire lives just to be correct and keep their head down in the sand. I admire your work. Hopefully it gets through to them, but I don't think it's gonna. Any community that gets its laughs by pretending to be idiots will eventually be flooded by actual idiots who mistakenly believe that they're in good company. This may backfire and make them emboldened to voice their worst opinions. Unfortunately, that's also true. I lie to my girlfriend basically every day and have done for a while now. Oh God, what type of lie are we talking about? My boyfriend and I have been together for over a year now. I love him dearly. I have since the moment we started talking. He's the love of my life, and I can't wait to keep enjoying his presence for as long as I breathe. Now, where does the lie come in? Essentially, my boyfriend is currently in recovery from anorexia, and he has been doing brilliantly. I'm forever proud of him. However, he also has emetophobia emetophobia or emetophobia, the fear of vomiting and being ill. So most days he gets in his own head about feeling unwell and convinces himself that if he eats, he'll be sick, so he defaults to going without. Around a year ago, on a particularly bad day when he had gone 2 or 3 days without eating a single thing, I was crying, trying to get him to eat. He said he couldn't because he was sure he'd be sick. In the moment, I randomly said, open your mouth and say, ah. He asked, why? And I told him, you can physically tell if someone is going to be sick because the uvula raises completely to avoid getting any acid residue from the stomach on it. It's like a warning system for the body to anticipate throwing up. It worked. This lie I made up on the spot has worked wonders every day since then. I have no idea if what I said is even remotely true. After all, I made it up. But if it is, great. If not, it's still great because it helps. My boyfriend is now well into recovery and has been for a while. And I don't mean this in a way to take credit away from this amazing man whom I love so much. But I honestly don't know where he would be without this little white lie. It instantly calms him down and allows him to eat without worrying too much about being sick. He now eats 3 meals a day with me, and this small white lie has played a big part in that. I've never told him, and I probably never will. I'm just glad it's had the intended effect. Thanks for reading if you did. I really hope he doesn't stumble across this, because Lord only knows how he might react if he found out that it indeed weren't true, because I don't believe it works like that. I mean, I don't know either, but I don't feel like that's how it happens. But I mean, yeah, I don't see this lie as an inherent bad thing at all. I thought it was going to be something way crazier than this, but no. Your pretty small little offhand lie has saved him, or not saved him completely, but helped save him. And I'm sure that, you know, as recovery goes on, if he does learn about this, he'll probably go, dude, holy shit, thank you. Like, obviously he's in some form of therapy, so, you know, anyway, what do the commenters have to say? This is really sweet. I know it probably feels like crap to lie, but if it's for her health, quite literally to keep it alive. Okay, wait a minute. The he and her thing is all over the place. Hang on. Let me go back here. I lie to my girlfriend basically every day and have done for a while now. My boyfriend and I have been together I love him dearly. I have since the moment we started. Something got messed up here. That's okay. Either way, I think your white lie is more than fine.
I met my current boyfriend by slipping him my number while he was on a date with someone else and I was their server. I used to work at a cheesecake factory as a server. About 1.5 years ago, my current boyfriend came in with some other girl on a date. I'm not sure what it is about my boyfriend, but he just does it for me. He's not at all my normal type of guy I'm attracted to, but for some reason, he just makes me melt every time I look at him. He's got this super self-assured smile, and something about the way he talks gets me. He's got this little chuckle he does, and he always looks down and bites his lip after. He's just like it for me. So I immediately rushed over to their table. Typically, if I saw a guy I was attracted to, I could give better service because I genuinely wanted to interact with him and everyone at the table, and that usually led to nicer tips. When I started serving them, I couldn't help myself and I was flirting super obviously. So much so, my coworkers were telling me to be careful I didn't get complained on, but he flirted back. So I was like a shark who smelled blood in the water. I spent so much time talking to him at their table, other tables I was serving had to call out to me because I'd forget about them. Honestly, looking back, that was more of a date for me and him than her and him because we talked about what he did for work, what I studied, what my favorite foods are, what he likes, music. I must have been at that table accumulatively for around 40 minutes. At the end of it, she was being very short with me and him, and I kind of figured she'd complain. So I said, screw it, scribbled my number down and put it under his card when I gave it back to him. He texted me that night and we've basically been dating since. I'm moving in with him on Friday. It was honestly a very rude and shitty thing to do, but I'd do it over again in a second. In high school, I went to the movies with this girl to go see Fantastic Mr. Fox. The security guard ID'd her on the way in and mentioned that he knew her from another school. We showed up early to play arcade games, but it ended up just me playing by myself for 15 minutes while she texted with his security guard. Our movie started at 5:45 and ended just after 7. 15 minutes into the movie, she says she's going to the bathroom. About 20 minutes later, I noticed that she took her coat with her, but maybe she was going out for a cigarette. Well, the movie ends and I go to message her on Facebook and see that she's tagged at bar pics and the security dude was there. I commented, what the f***, and she blocked me. It wasn't the first or last time that things like this have happened, but it was most blatantly the disrespectful. When I was a server and had to wait on a couple, I would always pay more attention to the girl, especially if I found the fella attractive. That's how I got better tips. Aw, you both deserve each other. Reread this when he cheats on you. Uh-oh. Why would you go with a guy who accepted a number while out on a date? That's a fantastic question, because his little chuckle is hot. Duh. Bites lip. I've stolen hundreds of dollars worth of water just by saying 5 words. My college is a food court in one of the main buildings. Chick-fil-A, sandwich place, salad bar, etc. You get your food and pay at the exit. Every single time I've eaten lunch there since I was a freshman, I grab a bottle of water with my meal, walk up to pay and say, I brought the water in. The employees aren't paid enough to care and I pay enough in tuition to not feel bad about it. It's a win-win situation. I absolve you of your sins. Enjoy your water. Chick-fil-A gives out free large waters if you ask. Yeah, but that's not as fun. Not having your own water bottle is pleb tier. I run a fake restaurant on a delivery app. I registered a company, bought all the takeaway boxes from Amazon, signed up for a few delivery apps, made a few social media accounts, and printed leaflets that I drop in mailboxes. I resell microwave meals. On some meals, I add something to make them look better, like cheese. So far, it's around $200 a day in revenue. Nobody suspects a thing. Soon, someone will come in for hygiene inspection. You misspelled hygiene, so that's already not a good sign. But I'll pass that check without any problems. It's not illegal to operate out of your own kitchen. Should I feel bad? I feel kind of proud to be fair and free as a bird from the 9-to-5 life. Half of restaurants reheat from the freezers of Cisco and Gordon Food Service. I mean, it genuinely just sounds like OP started a full-on business, and they're thriving. You're living in the year 3000. If you've not noticed, keep going, I say. That's fantastic. Wow, more things to add to my restaurant anxieties. Found out my dead best friend was in love with my wife. I'm writing this as a confession because I don't know where else to speak about this, and I don't want my kids finding out about this on my main account. My friend died a few months back due to heart problems. He was taking care of himself, so it was a shock to everyone, especially his wife who was with him at their house when he died. Due to this, she decided to move somewhere else, and because she and her daughter were still distraught, she asked me to pack up his stuff. He had some boxes in his basement, and after a while I started feeling nostalgic and decided to look into them. I found pictures of us from when we were kids all the way to before we got married. That was enough to make me feel bad, and I just got back to taping them up. But one of the boxes seemed to be in much better condition, so I decided to check it in case it was something important. To my surprise, I found out it was pictures of him and my wife from when we used to hang out together, as well as more recent pictures from family reunions, the most recent being from my wife's birthday party. Alongside the pictures, there were letters that he never sent her. The first one dated 2 months before I met her. The last one was also the same date of her birthday party. There was one that stood out the most, and it was from after I started dating her. He wrote that his time had passed, and since my happiness was as important as his own, he would watch over us. I'll keep his box safe since it isn't my secret to reveal. He not only loved your wife, he loved you just as much. Exactly. That is a genuinely was a really sweet read. Holy shit, what a tremendous human being. Who among us could really be sure we'd make the same sacrifice? I hope I would, but I'm so happy that people like him exist even if I wouldn't be strong enough. Make sure your friend's wife never finds out about that box either. I cheated to get my bachelor's and my master's degree. Yeah, I cheated. I didn't write any of my papers. I didn't do any of the work myself. I stole a lot of work. Took only classes anyone I knew did and used all their work for it with minor changes. I made it through 6 years and got 2 degrees. I got a scholarship at a high school by cheating. I cheated during the SAT. I cheated most of my life and I feel a little bad, but not really. Thanks to a couple real ones for holding it down for me. Wouldn't have made it this far without you. I used to date a girl that would always cry to professors to get her grades raised from C's to A's. I remember the first time she did it, I was impressed. I couldn't believe it worked. She laughed and said she did it all the time and it nearly always worked. She was right. She kept doing it and I never saw it not work. I even witnessed her get an A on a paper she didn't even do and thus didn't turn anything in. The professor literally just gave her an A to stop her from crying. It became disturbing. Yeah, I had a friend in college mooch off me and he had a better career afterwards. This isn't a confession, it's a brag. 8 years ago, I caused a UFO panic. One college summer break 8 years ago, my friends and I were bored. We remembered a demonstration from a high school science class of a solar balloon. This was just a really thin black plastic bag you'd fill with air, seal, then let out in the sun. The sun would heat the air in the black bag and the bag would become buoyant and float. We had the idea to find the cheapest, thinnest black plastic trash bags available and combine a bunch of them to make a huge balloon. We spent a few days driving around to Walmarts and dollar stores trying to find different brands to make the thinnest possible plastic bag and thinnest tape which would work the best. Finally, we took a number of them, cut off the bottom ends, and taped them together into a huge balloon, which we filled up with a leaf blower and then tied the end. After sitting out in the sun for a half hour or so, we'd done it. This is a picture my friend had taken as it was just becoming buoyant. Oh, dude, it looks like an obelisk of some kind. We had to mess around with how the tape was sealing the bags to use as little of it as possible, as the weight of the tape added up and made the balloon harder to float. Shortly after this, the balloon got away from us further. Oh no. Oh, it's going. It's gone. It looks like a leviathan. This was disappointing, but we made another one and got funny looks from cars driving by and were entertained for a bit. Shortly after that, this new balloon met its demise, smacking into a tree and getting popped. Oh well, mission success. A few years later, I happened across this news article. Police flooded with UFO sighting reports after residents see large tube-like object over Somerset County. The balloon that got away and had apparently blown a town over caused a big UFO panic. People were calling 911, the police, and local radio stations about it. Our boredom unintentionally created a UFO panic in central New Jersey. I moved out of the area, but when I get together with my friends, we always bring this up and have a good laugh. This is amazing. Funnily enough, I wrote the article you cited. That's a small ass world. I'm the sole reporter working the late shift at the same news organization. I just looked at our traffic and was like, what the fuck? Why is this 8-year-old UFO article suddenly buzzing? Cheers, mate. I remember that day well. Created some fun into what I recall was a slow news day. This is so crazy. I'm actually the balloon. I floated out over the ocean and then sprung a leak and drifted down into the Atlantic. I joined a huge garbage mass about 6 years ago and have always wondered if anyone noticed me that day. Oh my God, that was you? I live in the area and a bunch of people at Rutgers were talking about it and I thought they were out of their minds. When I was younger, I saw a lady drop $100. I picked it up and used all of it on Yu-Gi-Oh cards right in front of her. Basically, she dropped the $100 bill in one of those aisles of this game store. I picked it up and I remember wanting to give it back, but I was there to get Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'd recently lost all my good cards to my friend in a bet, so this was a miracle of sorts to make a solid comeback. So I kept it. I thought the woman had left the store, so I went to go purchase my cards. Right as I gave my money to the cashier, she walks up behind me watching me buy my $100 worth of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. This isn't a normal thing to do. She said nothing though, and I left before she went to go buy her items, so I didn't have to see the look on her face when she realized. There is no doubt in my mind that once she realized she was $100 short, she would make the assumption it was the kid in front of her in line who spent $100 on cards. I just want to say I'm a different person now, smile. Yeah, well, I once found $10 on the floor in GameStop. I left it there as I assumed it was someone else's and I didn't want to steal. When I went to pay for my game, I noticed I was $10 short. I connected the dots and those $10 on the floor were mine to begin with. I went back and they were gone. I had to go back to my dad and tell him I lost part of the money he gave me. He screamed and shit, but went and bought the game for me. My brother found a wallet with $500. He actually did return it. She gave him $100 for returning it and he got himself some really nice name brand sneakers. Damn, I found a dude's wallet with over $3K in it along with his wedding band and the dude gave me $1 as a reward. My brother, age 11, 9 years younger, stole $3,000 from my mom's bank account to buy a Switch, a few games, and a Samsung Galaxy. Mom forgave him though. God, my parents are pushovers. Just depends on which kid though. He blamed it on the fact that he has no concept of online shopping. I'm pretty sure at that age and in this day of age, you know that a Visa card is real money. For 3 years, I switched my partner's tea in the morning because I couldn't deal with his fake snobbery. When my ex and I started dating, I used to make him a morning cup of tea as a cute gesture, and it stuck for the 3 years that we were together. It's a nice small thing you do to make someone's day, and it's a nice way to get to know how someone likes things doing. So my morning tea used to be any old tea bag, Yorkshire tea if it was on offer, a splash of milk, and the first cup always had a teaspoon of sugar. Every cup after was just tea and milk. My ex, however, had to have a very specific ritual. Thompson's Punjana tea, a teaspoon of milk, and absolutely no sugar. He was adamant that he could tell in a heartbeat when his morning cup of tea, and at the age of 33, he's never liked any other tea than Fortnum and Mason's Royal Blend. So in the beginning when he would stay at mine, I entertained this notion and used to make his morning tea the way he liked. Thompson's Punjana tea, a teaspoon of milk, and absolutely no sugar. He would always thank me and tell me that I make the best cups of tea and it was nice. 3 times a week didn't kill me and it was a sweet gesture. Fast forward 3 months when he would spend nearly every day of the week at mine but not moved in, he was very demanding of his morning ritual, and being a student, I couldn't keep affording to buy that brand of tea. Besides, what was wrong with PG Tips or any non-branded supermarket tea? Tea is tea after all, it is just leaves. So I used to make his cup of tea with any tea bag and a teaspoon of milk and no sugar. I was always sure to only make it when he was in the shower or still in bed, so he could never catch me out, and initially, he was dubious and was always asking to make sure it was Thompson's Punjana tea. He used to call it by its full name to emphasize how good it was. After a few trials of different teas, I finally found that sweet spot where he couldn't taste the difference. I would drink it with him, and as he sipped, would go on about how you can taste the quality and that there really is no other tea like it. When we moved in with each other, it was a lot harder to disguise the fact that I was keeping the same box of tea and just filling it with regular tea bags, so I had to be a bit more clever. At the time, I was studying at college, so I was in control of weekly food shops and only really wanted to go twice a week to minimize costs, so we had more to spend on meals out. I used to buy 1 bag of his tea and 2 bags of mine a week, and kept the them in the drinks cupboard. When it came time to making his in the morning, I would take one of his tea bags and put it in my pocket, giving him one of mine instead, and I used to give my tutors at college his tea to drink during the day. He would always comment that I run out of my tea quicker because of the quality, and that with Panjana, one bag is enough for a considerable amount of time. Little did he know. This went on for a couple of years, and I never told anyone about it out of fear that he would find out, as after all, he really couldn't tell, so I ruined the fun. It was saving me money and it was sort of amusing. I never let him make a cup of tea unless I was away, so he never really had to find out. After we split up, we remained good friends, and I spent some time with him in our old flat. Every time I visit, he always asks me to make a cup of tea the way I used to for old time's sake, because everyone he's been with or dated after me can never make it taste the way I did. He even says that when he makes it himself with Panjana, that he can never make it taste right and that I was some sort of special tea maker. I still haven't told him. Wow, I can feel the Britishness in this post. Britishness intensifies. God saving the Queen intensifies. In it. I wag one, my G's. What's your motives for the night, fam? Even as a Brit, this is too much for me. All these are just people being like, wow, this is a very British post. He even says that when he makes it himself with Panjana that he can never make it taste right and that it was some sort of special tea maker. I still haven't told him. This is the funniest part. You retrained his taste buds, and he's none the wiser and never will be. You've ruined it. This is the kind of story that messes with me. I'm paranoid of being with someone who does stuff like this or moves things or steal valueless items just to mess with my head. You may think it's just tea, but it's gaslighting, and that can ruin people's trust and confidence and trust in their sanity. Next time, just tell him, buy it himself. I lied to a blind neighbor and told him I moved away. Well, why did you do that? Many years ago, I was standing on one of my balconies when a taxi driver was obnoxiously blowing his horn out and yelling for a blind man to walk toward my voice from his own townhouse. That direction was toward traffic. My roommate and I went down and helped him to the taxi and scolded the driver for being so rude. I made the mistake of giving the blind neighbor my phone number so I could give him a ride in the future. Then the phone calls came and never stopped. And when I gave him a ride, he would ask for various detours. I'm very calculated by nature. If he had told me beforehand where he wanted to go, it would be cool, but no. We'd be driving around and he'd throw in 2 to 3 extra places on each ride. And it came to be every day that he wanted rides. And he'd even call me to remind me to give him a ride. Not that was ever late or backed out. Finally, I had enough, so I gauged how blind he was. His response to that, he was blind as you bet. A week or two after he said that, I told him I had a job interview in the next city. A week after that, I told him I got the job and was moving away in a month. After I moved away, it was strange as hell walking by him in silence as he stood on the sidewalk. You know, I think it's important to take this post as an opportunity to reflect on how you could set boundaries in the future. There will be other metaphorical blind guys needing rides in the future. Yeah, this could have been solved by just saying, hey man, I don't want to do this so often. The blind guys were the friends we wish we hadn't made along the way. I bet he could smell you and knew. What, like a dog? I was gonna say the sound of your footsteps, the way you walk, I guess, or sounds of your particular keys would have been a dead giveaway. I always know my boyfriend's coming up the stairs outside by those sounds, and I could imagine it would be a noticeable thing, even more so if you didn't see. I hope he doesn't see this post. It's a simple joke, but I'm a simple guy. When I nannied, I would read the journal of the mom. Oh, you got free tea? I was only 20 years old and I nannied for this little baby boy. The mom seemed off. She would sleep the entire time I was there in the mornings, or go on 3-hour runs, or sometimes would just go about her business around the house, completely ignoring me. One time, we both sat in the living room while the baby was sleeping in his room. I was reading a book, studying, and she sat there eating McDonald's and watching her show. She did not say a word to me the entire time. Well, one day when she was out, I snooped around and found her journal. I read the whole thing, then got sad for her. She was so unhappy in her marriage and in life. I ended up working for her for 3 years and we became close. But that first year was so uncomfortable and awkward. In retrospect, it seems very obvious that she was suffering from post-pregnancy depression. I mean, good on you for trying to lighten her load, OP. A little empathy and help can go a long way in helping someone to ride out a depressive episode not feeling quite so alone or overwhelmed. I'm a guy with no kids, but all my friends are starting to have kids. After the first year, I always hear women talk about how great having kids is, and they didn't know they could love so much, blah, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong, I want kids, but I know they all can't feel that way, and particularly in the beginning. A new mom mom hearing this wouldn't be able to help but feel like a terrible mother if she didn't connect with her kid right away or was having a hard go of it. There really wouldn't be anyone to turn to. Yeah, this isn't close to weird behavior. I've had a nanny for 4 years. I pay her a good wage so that I can do what I want to do, and if it's my choice to sleep or go to the gym or anything else under the sun, then it's just that, my choice. Sometimes I sit and chat and sometimes I don't. She's an employee and we do consider her part of our family, but really as long as she's being paid, I expect her to do her job the same no matter what I'm doing. Just my point of view.
I call fake orders into a pizza place to get free pizzas. My husband works at a popular pizza chain. We call it piece of butt for the sake of rhyming. If orders are messed up or carry out orders don't show, the employees get to take the food home. Sometimes I order pizzas under fake names and give the numbers of local businesses as callback numbers, and then purposefully never show up to pay for it. 9 times out of 10, my husband brings home the pizza I ordered.
This is sinful pizza, yes I know, but sin pizza tastes better than honest pizza, inexplicably. Man, I got fired from a pizza place when I was in college giving a burnt pizza to a homeless old lady. My husband used to also work at Pizza Butt, and we always joked about doing this but never had to because his coworkers were shit at their jobs and he just brought home all their mistakes.
My husband and I are currently going through a divorce though. I think I'm gonna have to start paying for pizza soon.
People that steal pizza are thinking too small. Yeah, steal a large pie then. I intentionally ask women well above the legal age limit for alcohol to show me their ID. I work as a cashier at a grocery store. Whenever a middle-aged woman who clearly looks older than 21 purchases alcohol from me, I intentionally ask them to show me their ID. I do this because somewhere deep down I feel that if I ask them for their ID, it creates an impression that they look far younger than they are. I do this every chance I get, regardless of how busy the line is, in hopes of making them feel younger and possibly happier. I remember back when I worked as a cashier, my manager said I have to ID everyone. She then informed me old ladies will find it flattering. Old dudes though, they don't like that shit. They just want their booze.
Dude, can confirm. My beard looks like it belongs on a 1,000-year-old pirate and I get asked to prove it? Blasphemy. I'm in my mid-30s and regularly get ID'd.
Clerks usually apologize and I always respond, it's all good. I'm old enough now that it's a compliment. And we have a laugh.
I once told an elderly woman, "Have a nice day, young lady."
She went and told the manager and I was written up. Well, she's no fun. Nothing makes me feel older than being patronized. You're perpetuating the stereotype that younger women are worth more than older women. I don't think it's the correct reason to card people. Law is the reason and that's it. I shit on my neighbor's doorstep. Well, was it justified? So back when I was 10, my dad asked me if I wanted to make $20. That's incredible. I accepted. The catch was I had to shit on our neighbor's doorstep. It was clear my dad had beef with this woman. She woke in the morning and tried to blame our chihuahua. My dad yelled at her saying that the shit was bigger than our dog. Impossible. The point is I don't feel bad. Forever daddy's girl.
Wow. That last line really got me.
Wait, girls can poop? No, this post is clearly fake.
Here's what you gotta do. You gotta piss in a CD box, put it in the freezer, and then slide your newly acquired disc of piss under your neighbor's door, and then let it melt. And now your neighbor's asking themselves how someone could take a piss into their home. Do this until they move out. You just brought us one step closer to women's equality, and we thank you for your service. God bless. Did you ever find out what the beef was?
No, but she was a mean lady, so she had it coming, one way or the other. I pretended I was selling something on Craigslist and got 2 strangers to meet awkwardly. Years ago, I made a new email address and got 2 potential buyers for a PlayStation that I was pretending to sell. I confirmed a date and time with both of them, decided on a mall near a certain store. I asked what they'd be wearing so I could find them. I gave them each other's description for myself and then went and hung out. One walked up to the other. You could tell there was an immediate confusion. They started arguing over who had what. You could see them get pissed once they realized what happened and wasted their time. They both stormed off on their phones. Sure enough, I got angry emails from both of them. I feel kind of bad about it, but it was a funny interaction to witness.
Was anyone else hoping the end of the story would go?
They instantly connected and decided to catch a movie together since they'd come all the way down to the mall anyway. That was 5 years ago. They're getting married today and they asked me to officiate. Rom-com gold right there in my honest opinion.
Yeah, and then everyone stood up and clapped.
I used to do IT recruiting and you would get a ton of Indian people harassing you for jobs they can't do. Sometimes at the end of the day, we would set up 2 of them on a call telling them they both had interviews. Pretty mean, very funny.
Insert Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man pic.
When I was a kid, I would wipe my ass with towels that were hanging up. You are disgusting. This is something I've never admitted to a single person. I'm not sure at what age I stopped doing this, but throughout most of my childhood, I had this OCD compulsion where every time I would finish wiping, I would stand up, walk over to the towel rack, and give it 1 or 2 more thorough swipes. I couldn't not do it. I felt unclean if I didn't. It wasn't until I got a little older that I realized just how fucking fucked up it was? My older siblings spent their entire childhoods drying their faces off with my shitty remains. I've been mortified about it for years, but I'm actually in tears of laughter writing this out right now. Why does everyone in this house keep getting pink eye?
Yeah, that's the sequel to the poop knife story.
When I was younger, I wouldn't wipe my ass. Yeah, you heard that right.
Hey, stealing my thunder here. This is more common than one may think.
Please no.
Oh, yes. And never leave your toothbrush in the guest bathroom, even with trustworthy friends. They're the worst kind.
I kicked a kid in his balls and he had to have one removed. Good God. This happened when I was around 7 or 8 years old. It was my first year in primary school and I had joined the school with some of my friends from the local feeder school in the area. One particular boy was a year older than us and was repeating the first year for some reason. He was of German descent from a very well-to-do family and a lot bigger than the rest of us. Possibly because he was embarrassed at repeating the year, he was a bit of a bully. He often picked on me and some of my friends. I'm sure we probably escalated things at times too because I know he was teased for being German. So one day, standing outside class, I kicked him full whack in the balls. He buckled over, but I can't really remember much of what happened afterwards. We probably tucked tail and ran. I can't even say for sure what he deserved to be kicked at the time or if I just thought I was getting him back for previous behavior. Anyway, he missed school for a few days after and I heard some kids saying he was in the hospital. Soon after that, I was called in to speak to a teacher who, as far as I remember, dressed me down and explained he had gone home and his testicle was swollen to the size of a tennis ball. Holy shit. And it had to be removed. I don't really remember getting into much trouble about it, but I do remember some of the other kids going on about it in banter. He's the ball destroyer. The chosen one. The details are hazy, but I felt so bad and I felt I was in so much trouble that I never even told my parents about it. This was made worse as my dad and his dad had gone to school together, only found this out after seeing my dad chatting to his dad at a rugby match that me and the kid were playing one Saturday about a year after. I was freaking out the whole time they were speaking and then started feeling guilty that my dad might have been seen as rude by his dad for not apologizing for my action. It didn't come across that way as they seemed like old friends catching up, but I felt so guilty. I felt so awful about it. I mean, at the time I didn't realize that it may have an effect on him being able to have children, but I felt like I'd done something so horrible and always expected my family to confront me about it. When I learned the reproductive challenges might cause, the guilt was just amplified. The years that followed in primary school were mostly fine. On the odd occasion he would have a go at me. I remember him having a slightly shorter fuse with me than others, but I think he ended up being okay and less of a bully. That said, he did try to drown me in a river at our primary school leavers camp as I'd pissed him off for some other reason, but mostly the in-between years went by without incident. I left that school to go to a different high school, so I never maintained contact with him. I saw him once during my teenage years and we chatted for about 5 minutes. I remember it being friendly. I never ever mentioned it. I hope he was able to have children. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry I never said sorry too. Holy fuck! The size of a tennis ball? You must have kicked faster than the speed of light. I got kicked in the balls by a kicker on the football team. God damn, it hurt so bad. And I formed a cyst on my nuts, but never seen one swell up like a tennis ball. My God. You must have murdered that man's sperm sac. My own little confession you just reminded me. In elementary, I grabbed a girl's earring during playground time. Not out of malice or anything, and it just ripped through her ear. Oh my God. My favorite thing working as a window washer was going through people's private possessions. Come on, not again. So I worked as a window washer in my small town in Sweden for about 5 years. Every morning you went to the warehouse where we had all of our stuff, drank a cup of coffee with your coworkers, and talked for a bit before getting into the places you had to go for that day, and who you had to do them with. Our bosses were very keen on everyone getting to know everyone, so they changed up the teams every day. This meant sometimes you got to go out by yourself. A typical workday is 4 to 5 houses and or apartments. Sometimes old people, they were always home. Sometimes families who were home because they knew we were coming. Not very often you got people who left their key under the mat and let us go inside without them being home. I liked this the most since you didn't have anyone breathing down your neck while you worked. And sometimes, once in a blue moon, you got a house with nobody home by yourself. I don't know if there's something wrong with me, maybe, but to me it felt like I'd struck gold because I knew I'd be able to walk around that house by myself, checking out every inch of it. I usually started by doing my job super fast. Make sure I had some way of knowing if they got home. Usually I'd place a ladder somewhere close to the door so if someone came home they had to move it. Then I got to work. I never looked to steal anything. It was pure curiosity. I looked through bathroom cabinets, nightstands, desk drawers, basically anything that you could open while making sure everything I touched was placed back exactly where it was before. During my years, I found diaries with dark secrets, cute secrets, and just downright weird secrets. I found used condoms in the teenage boy's room, and in the daughters and mothers' nightstands. I found a gun under a mattress, which in Sweden is not something you see every day. One couple had a sex swing hanging in the bedroom, so it's not really something I needed to look for, but I thought it was strange that they didn't take it down when they knew people were gonna be in the house. I once opened a teenager's MacBook and boom, Pornhub paused mid-video. No password, no incognito window, nothing. Jewelry, expensive watches, and knives. One kid had 3 knives welded together like a ninja star, but with a handle. Like I said, never stole anything. That wasn't my goal. I just love going through other people's shit. It's wrong, I know that, but I couldn't help myself. You ever wonder if your house guests snoop in your bathroom cupboards? Strategically place several marbles in the bathroom cabinets. Works every time. Yeah, it's weird to me that people just let a random stranger into their house when they weren't there. I always thought of window washers as people who only wash the outsides of big buildings. If it's someone's home, why don't the people living there just wash the insides themselves? Fair warning, odds are if they're fine with you in the house, they have cameras. Ooh. I didn't think about that one, huh?
I tell customers at my work that I'm dyslexic because I can't count. I'm literally just stupid. Like, really dumb. When I'm cashing someone out and then they decide to go, oh wait, I have 68 cents, my brain turns off and I can't do the math. This is me. This is me! God damn it. This is me. I had to say that a few times in a row to get that across. Okay? I just, it's so hard to deal with this sort of issue, okay? Let's see how they're dealing with it, if at all. My brain turns off and I can't do the math. I don't want to pull out my calculator either. I often say, oh, sorry, I can't add the change in because the system needs to count every coin or bill, which is not true. Other times, they go to hand me the change and then I freeze and look confused. The customers can tell and is able to tell, or the customer, excuse me, can tell and is able to tell me exactly what I need to give them back, so I just go, oh, sorry, I'm dyslexic. I usually just go off of what the customer tells me and pray they're not ripping me off. And as soon as they leave, I double check with my calculator. I hate to fake a disability, but the absolute embarrassment and harassment I get from some of these customers is excruciating. When I tell them I'm dyslexic, they kind of relax a little bit and apologize for being rude. I've actually gotten to the point of almost crying because I'm so stupid and can't count change. I hate when they make a scene. Sounds like... Wait, what is this? Dyscalculia? Dyscalculia? Hold on, I need to look this word up. Well, what do you know? Check that out. A learning disorder that affects a person's ability to understand number-based information and math. Well, I love learning words that put to, sort of a different meaning, or rather bring meaning in general, to something I've felt for a long, long time. I didn't even know this was a thing. Thank you. Yeah, I need to look into that. I want to ask around about that. I'm super curious because, yeah, I'm the exact same way. Like, I have serious learning issues across the board, but man, when a 68-year-old woman at the UPS store would be like, oh wait, I have 2 pennies. I got to a certain point where I just had to tell them, I don't know what that means. I already hit the button, you're too late. This is how it's gonna go down. Not like a dick, but of course I have to tell people, hey, sorry, don't know how to do that in my head. No, it's not because the younger generation is stupid and you're superior or something, it's just... Welcome to the world. We can't all be the same, baby. When I was 5, I pulled the fire alarm and pretended I didn't know any better. Oh. When I was 5 years old, we were coming back from lunch, and the teacher had told us before lunch we weren't having recess that day. So that made me mad because I wanted to go outside. I saw the opportunity to go outside. A little red box that said fire, pull down. I pulled it. My classmates looked at me in disbelief. Then I heard the loud shrill of the fire alarm, and we went outside. My kindergarten teacher comes up and stoically tells me I'm going to the principal. Anyways, I go to the principal and he's grilling me. I'm getting scared, I'm going to be expelled, so I play stupid. I say, well, the box said pull down. I was just obeying what the sign says, like whenever my mom sees a stop sign, she stops the car. I was just trying to be a good citizen and obey the signs. Principal goes silent for a second and then lectures me on how dangerous it is to falsely activate the alarm. Then he tells me he's calling my parents, but that was it. My mom only said one thing to me about it. Why would you do something like that? You're better than that. The way she said it made me feel bad. After that, some kids thought it was really cool and would high-five me in the hall. Looking back on it, I realize now there was another reason. I wanted to show my classmates how cool and brave I was. I don't know why I still feel bad about this. I'm 21 and this happened 16 years ago. You were 5. 5-year-olds do stupid things. If you knew a 5-year-old right now who did the same stupid thing today, you'd be kind to him. Now, do the same for yourself and let yourself off of the hook. You're wasting too much energy on this. Me too. I would have been 7 years old and we visited my mom and baby brother in the maternity hospital. I went to the bathroom and they had the buttons you push and they slowly turn off automatically. Well, about 6 nurses rushed to me, washing my hands and feeling so badly. Intrusive thoughts for the win! Well, thank you. You're being so helpful right now. I am hiding my child from my father and family for 2 years. Hi, all. So for some context, while trying to stay anonymous, I'm 21, male from Canada. I come from a Desi Muslim immigrant family. I'm not sure if that's the proper way to say the word. My parents are separated since young, or youth, or whatever, and my dad lives in the States. Both of my parents remarried. When I was 18 years old, I got a girl pregnant because I had been screwing around with her for almost a year at the time. Yes, we used protection, but it broke, and by the time we noticed, it was too late. Plan B pill was used, which also failed. I obviously never wanted to have a child, not at least until I was established, and at first, she agreed to an abortion, but once her family found out, they convinced her to keep it, so she did, and obviously there was nothing I can do. I've only told my mom, and that's it. I feel too embarrassed to tell anyone. Not even my stepfather, who lives with me, knows. I just felt like a huge disappointment because my parents fought with blood and tears to come to this country and give me a better life, just for me to screw myself over like this. Not to mention my whole family is very judgmental and gossipy type, and also Muslim. Fast forward to the present. I am involved in my child's life and have a good relationship with my mom, yet I am still hiding it. I say it so I don't disclose the gender. I know I can't keep doing this forever, but I was planning to reveal it to everyone once I finished school and or have a career going for myself. I just feel like it's bad that I have a child. I can't even support on my own. As far as my other family knowing or my stepfather, I really don't care for, but my biological dad has the right to know he has a grandchild. The thing is, my dad has 2 little toddlers of his own, and they're only 1 to 2 years older than my child, and I have a bit of a rocky relationship with my father. He left us when I was a toddler and was barely present in most of my life. Although we have a decent relationship, or have had one for the last 5 years now, he is a very education, career first, kids and marriage later, not until like 30 type of guy. He already thinks I'm a screw-up because I took a 2 gap years, whatever, after graduating high school. He's very successful and has high expectations of me. Nonetheless, I know it's wrong to hide my child from him, but I just can't get over how to tell him. Do I tell him in person when I go to visit? Do I tell him over the phone? Ooh, this is a tough one. I completely understand why you tried to keep your little one quiet, but the truth is, the longer you hide them, the more damage you'll end up doing. Plus, eventually the kid will find out you've been hiding them, and that's a recipe for very hurt feelings. Maybe sit your dad down and run through your reasoning and how you've made sure, since, to look after the kid and prepare for your own future. Best of the luck. Sounds like you have a better head on your shoulders than your dad. You're already better than him by being present in your kid's life. I lied to get my current job, and it pays really well. I lied on my resume to land a job I wasn't qualified for. The initial interview went smoother than expected. My fabricated qualifications seemed to impress them. Before I knew it, I was advancing to the next round. The job offer came, and I accepted, despite the sinking feeling in my gut. As I stepped into the role, it really hit me hard. I was drowning in tasks I had no idea how to handle. Panic set in as I struggled to keep up with the demands of the job. I sought help online, connecting with others in similar positions who generously shared their expertise. Day by day, I learned the ropes through trial and error. Slowly, I started to grasp the intricacies of the job. The feeling of being overshadowed began to fade as my confidence grew. I persevered, determined to prove myself worthy of the position. 15 years have passed since that fateful decision. I am now a master at my job, a testament to resilience and hard work. The lie that got me in the door has transformed into a success story of perseverance and growth. A part of me is very proud of what I've been able to accomplish, while the other side is disgusted with me for cutting corners. I've never told anyone besides my husband, and he even told me he doesn't believe I really did that. Well, I guess it depends on what you're doing. We don't know what it is you're doing. However, I do fully believe that, like most jobs out there that require master's degrees and experience and stuff like that, probably don't really actually require as much as you think. And I'm not talking about professions like surgeons and shit like that, so don't even throw that crap at me, okay? I feel like just so many jobs that want 150 years experience and a PhD in butt mechanics can be easily trained by the people around you, or the person above you, or by watching a YouTube video. I'm not even kidding, alright? Nice. This is what 2 of my good friends usually do to get their jobs. They lie. They expect me to do the same, but I just don't have the guts to do it. I feel like I'd screw up an answer in the interview. Also, I don't want a job for more pay just to not know what I'm doing the first couple of months. But hey, good for you. You played the game by the rules. You lied on your resume. They didn't catch you. You did the job. Nothing to be disgusted about. Yeah, I think that's the other thing to take away for her, honestly, is you did it. You proved that you did not need the qualifications they required. You persevered, as you said, and now you're making them fat stacks. You didn't need what they required. Needed to hear this today. Recently saw a job posting for a job I'm mostly qualified for, and this gave me the motivation to apply. I'm just a year into my career, and it's pretty daunting. I am a thief. I only steal from stores, but I constantly do it. I have a good job, and could honestly afford things that I steal. However, it's something about stealing things and not having to pay for that I get a rush from. What is that? Is that kleptomania? My friends, the ones that do know, are super judgmental about it. I try to stop. I just can't. I wouldn't say I'm a bad person, and I would never steal from somebody. Opinions? No opinion, just a warning. Depending on where you steal from, they may be letting you get away with it till your theft reaches a certain dollar amount, and then they can have you arrested for felony larceny. Target especially is known for this. Lay off Target, OP. If that's part of your thing, they absolutely let you keep stealing until it adds up to felony. Now, instead of simple shoplifting charge, you'd be looking at prison, okay? Opinion? No, dude, just get therapy for kleptomania and a bunch of other shit you're repressing. Dude, I went to jail for 100 days for stealing a $15 phone charger. I got away with much worse before that, but I'm telling you, man, it's not worth your freedom or the record. It happened 8 years ago, and I still miss out on good jobs because of the petty theft misdemeanor on my record. Yeah, it's super not worth it. The only time that I have ever... No, I can't say routinely, I only ever did it a few times. The only time I've ever stolen is when I was completely flat broke, and I needed to eat. So you know what? Walmart's gonna be the victim there, baby, because screw them, honestly. That I don't feel guilty about. You ever catch me stealing food? No, you didn't. I lie too much, but the lies don't really make sense. All over my life I've lied. But I don't lie about things that make others feel bad or about other persons. I just lie about dumb things that I swear, I don't know why I do it. For example, yesterday I was taking out the trash at 5 p.m. and for some reason I tell my friends that I did it at 6 p.m. Why? I don't know. You know, I found that I do little tiny things like that as well. I'll add like one number up to certain things. I can't even really call that exaggeration. I know what it is. Why do I do that? I'm not confessing this because someone discovered me or something bad happened. I just started to think about all the things I've been lying about, and I really want to stop because I think it's too dumb to be living like this. And these days, I started to feel unhappy because of it. I consider, as a very sincere person, I consider myself a very sincere person. About things that can just affect a bit someone or things that affects me. Wow, this sentence is all messed up. This been following me or has been following me all my life, but one thing I can notice, it's that I don't lie now with big things. Like, back then, I just lie about my parents, cars, my house, and stuff like that, and now it's just these small things that have started to ruin me inside. I do this too. It gets very hard. By chance, do you have ADHD? Because I do, and I was told it's an impulse thing. Like, you think, I could say I took the trash out at 6, and then you say it, but the thought goes by so fast you don't even process it, so you just say it, and then you feel guilty for lying, but don't want everyone to think worse of you because you lied about something you shouldn't even have lied about, and so the cycle continues. It makes no sense, but nothing about ADHD does. If you don't have ADHD, then perhaps it's just me, but just a suggestion. What? People lie because there's a fear hidden. What's yours? Thinking about that could be the first step to figure out how to move forward from that habit. I drowned myself, so a hot lifeguard would hold me. So this happened when I was 10, I think. I could always swim and went on vacation with friends and family. I went beach and saw this hot lifeguard. I'd never felt so enamored by another man before. I wanted him to hold me. I tried talking to him, but he was distant and focused, which makes sense considering I was a 10-year-old and he was doing a life-saving job. However, even then, he was sweet and patient, and I remember he said he liked anime, and that was all I needed. I think he was maybe 17. He was also very warm despite his focus. I could tell in a normal conversation he was probably even more so. I never had a problem flirting with girls. It was so easy, it was boring even at 10. It wouldn't be anything weird, but I like your hair, we should go watch the new Transformers, stuff like that. Damn, you the Riz Master, dude. But he felt so untouchable, it made me want to try harder. So I kept thinking of ways to get his attention, and I decided to drown myself. Not as a joke, though. I went underwater and took a breath. It felt so bad and I was panicking so much, I ended up flailing like I was really drowning. Are you saying that you inhaled the water? What? Which I guess I was. So it's really painful. Salt water in my eyes and you did, wow. And I feel like throwing up and I'm forgetting how to swim or stay buoyant. It only lasted for maybe 15 seconds. Eventually, I was rescued. Not by the guy, but some teenage girl really close by. She was like 16 and apparently the only one that had noticed something was wrong. My friend said I was lucky I got saved and got CPR or whatever, about her being hot, but I was so disappointed. Oh, I see what you're saying. I am and was attracted to women, but that was not what I wanted. I was disappointed and drowning hurt so much. I asked my friend not to tell his parents. He knew about the plan. I don't know. I don't really feel guilty. I feel annoyed that I know what drowning feels like. What? But I do feel guilty that I could have been saved while someone who was really drowning needed help. Also, the parents are not at fault. They've watched me swim laps around them, and I purposely went within 5 minutes, or the 5 minutes they went to get us snacks. My friend's older sister was watching us, and I purposely went where she couldn't watch me and her brother at the same time. Luckily, the lady that saved me took me to her umbrella thing so his sister couldn't see. What? Okay. I barfed up water and could have died from infection, but I got lucky, I guess, since I didn't tell anyone so I wouldn't get in trouble. I'm told it helps it was salt water, though. You found it too easy and boring flirting with girls even at the age of 10? Man, I wasn't even thinking about flirting when I was 10. Pretty sure the only thing on my mind at 10 were my stats on RuneScape and my Club Penguin Igloo. Those were the days. I cannot believe you willingly took a breath of straight up water. I'm laughing so hard. Honestly, you know what? Can we get a round of applause? Just the commitment to the sheer stupidity of that bit, my guy. You certainly learned a valuable lesson that day. I have snuck outside of the house fully naked before. Oh, you slut! And no, not just a one-time thing. Keep in mind, this was usually done in the winter, so before I had a vehicle with auto start, I'd walk out to my car early in the morning. This time of year I had somewhere to be in half an hour, wearing either just my robe or a shirt and shorts with no underwear. I'd open or drop the robe/clothing for a brief moment after walking behind my house after starting my car. The thrill of it was just incredible. I immediately regretted and stopped doing it, mainly because it was still within city limits and I could be caught by a neighbor if I wasn't careful. I do not suggest doing this if you live in a town. I mean, why would you do it anyway? I once showered in a hurricane. It was fabulous. I usually wake up before dawn. I'll grab my coffee and go sit on the deck in the backyard naked while I drink it. I started hanging around inside my house naked. That led to sitting on my deck drinking a beer naked. Then one day I noticed some flowers needed to be pruned while having one of those beers, which led to naked gardening. Being naked is fun! You know what? They're so goddamn right about that. I ripped out a girl's hair because I couldn't roast her. When I was 11 or 12, I don't remember, I ended up in a roast battle with a 13-year-old girl from my neighborhood. I was losing badly, in front of about 5 of my close friends, and was extremely embarrassed. Things got more aggressive, and it was at the point where everyone around me was making fun of me. I, at the time, was not taking any medicine for my anger issues, which are now treated much better. I took aggression and went to tackle her. Everyone was yelling at me, telling me to stop, but at that point I didn't care. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I know that this incident caused that girl to move out with a bunch of... with a bunch of bruises, cuts, and about half of the hair, which I was told she spent almost her whole life growing, pulled out by me. That day I lost 6 friends. You lost the battle and your friends. Massive L. Good luck. I think most of us spend our whole life growing our hair. Damn, acting like a mini chimpanzee. I nearly set our whole house on invisible fire with hand sanitizer. Okay, so this is gonna sound very, 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 very stupid, but there's like 1,000 flies and other bugs on our window. So when I was bored, I smack them but not kill it. Unable to move but still alive, when I got like a lot, I put them close to each other and put hand sanitizer on and around it, then set it on fire. I couldn't see the fire, but when I put my hand on top of it, it was very hot, and I can see the fire like barely, and it spreads fast, and I had to put it out with water, and I had to... Are you 12? And I did it again, but with bug spray, but on a wooden floor. Now I just don't do that anymore. Yes, I am stupid. Our house is like 85% wood. Ethanol fires are terrifying. Please continue to not do that anymore. My neighbors straight blew up their garage over hoarding ham desanitizer. We had temps well into the hundreds, and the pressure and heat, I guess, more or less turned it into a giant Purell napalm bomb. Wife was one of those coupon chicks. She would stockpile stuff, then flip it on OfferUp. Wow. That's pathetic and lame. I mean, seriously, it's one thing for, like, crap that might hold value, but another thing for something that could have helped out during a global pandemic, like f***ing hand sanitizer. Anyway, they got a shit ton of fines, and she barely escaped jail time. Turns out you need hazmat clearances, permits, and all sorts of shit to store that volume of chemicals for resale, and she had none of that. She's also lucky as hell her house was within visual of the fire detachment because we live in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know them, but it was the talk of the town for at least a year. Why are you needlessly torturing insects? You need therapy. I mean, they kinda deserve it if they bother me 24/7. Real, though. I used a kid in middle school for chocolate and snacks. Okay, so this happened back when I was in the 7th grade. Back in the 7th grade, my family was hella poor, so we really never could afford luxuries such as candy and toys. I only ever got the essentials growing up. I had a best friend at the time who was the best lineman on the team. You all know what I mean by that. Every day he would come to school, he had hella candy and snacks that he would eat throughout the day, but he wouldn't share unless you were dating him. So about 3 weeks go by and he gets a girlfriend and buys her a ton of candy and snacks. About a week later, they broke up, and I had the bright idea to fake liking him so that I could get snacks because I knew he liked me. So he asked to be my boyfriend. I said yes, and the next day at school, I had hella snacks waiting for me. I broke up with him after I took them. Man, one day? Man, you did this gambit for a day? Too bad this doesn't work for your food stamps. Ooh, that's kind of cheesy. Cracker me up. Whoa, you can't say that. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. As I see it, you were a kid just trying to survive. It was like that for me too in elementary to middle school. I was thin as a twig and had almost collapsed because I wasn't getting enough to eat. I couldn't stand to keep this quiet anymore. I hyperfixated on someone, and I regret it. It was March, and I went to Pink to grab some stuff. There I met someone, and immediately I hyperfixated on them. I went to Pink once a week just to see them. Before Mother's Day, I went in to see them, but they weren't there. So I asked if they were there. Their coworker said no, and I thought maybe I could see them when I come back. A day later, I checked in, but they weren't there again. So I gave their coworker my number so that they can talk to me. Immediately after I left, they texted me and said that it was weird that I was talking to them, though I never knew who they are. Instead of just keeping my mouth shut, I told them off and deleted their number. I felt guilty for doing this, even if it's normal. I avoided that place like the plague, but that stopped when I went into Pink yesterday. I didn't see them and I was kind of relieved until I saw their figure walking away. I panicked and I left without saying a word or looking for them. I hated myself for going in there, not knowing that it wasn't the best time to go. I hated that I did this to them, and I hate that I did such a thing in general, thinking that it was a good idea. That's stalker behavior. You should really leave them alone before you get into trouble. Also, perhaps talk to a trusted person or therapist about your feelings. Yeah, that could be a problem. You might want to get that checked out and dealt with. Nip that in the bud, dude. Seriously.
I scratched a child and blamed it on another child. I used to be a preschool teacher. One day in breaking up two toddlers fighting, I scratched one of them just below the eye. Nothing serious. He started crying. My co-teacher came over to see what was going on and asked the crying kid. He said he was fighting with the girl. I said she must have scratched him. She got in trouble. It was me and my pretty nails. I scratched Hugo the child. Sorry, Hugo. Hugo's dad's gonna read this and sue the piss out of you. Hugo's dad is in China, so doubtful. Reddit is blocked there. I'm reading this in China now, and I'm telling. When I worked in daycare, sometimes I would fart and blame it on the babies. Run around checking diapers and everything. When I was a kid, I stole my neighbor's bra and buried it. When I was 11 years old in 2007, I had this neighbor. She was a teacher and was a really nice person overall, giving me cookies, playing with me and my sister like hide and seek, football, ... I remember playing a game alone. I used to call it Adventure. I go behind apartments and see what I can find thrown there. I used to do this about 2 or 3 times a month. My biggest all-time finds are 50 euro and a big silver ring. One day I got started by looking behind the building where I live. I saw a purple bra thrown on the ground. Her apartment is on the lowest floor, and I saw her clothes drying from her window, so I was fully convinced it was hers. I played with this bra with my friend all all day. We helicoptered it, spinning it, and running with it. I remember we had so much fun that when we finished playing with it, it was in no condition to return it. So I put it in a box and buried it when everyone went home. A week later, I saw she was putting her stuff drying on her window, so I got the stick off the mop and tried to make anything fall, but it was a failure. I didn't get anything. It was so hard, my neck hurts from looking up all the time, so I waited for days after my failure for her to put more clothes. When she finally did on a day that I didn't have to go to school, I tried again and managed to get another bra. It was white. This time I played with it like the first one, but alone this time, and when I finished, I got another box and buried it next to the other. I didn't steal a single thing after that. Fast forward to now, I know the place, but forgot where I buried it exactly. Looking back, I feel like shit. She was living alone, working, plus had to deal with stolen bras. I don't know if she noticed or not. 5 years later, she got married and moved out, but like once a year, she comes back with her husband and her kids. When she sees my mom or my sis, she always asks them about me and how I was a polite kid. Just a week ago, I was coming home, she saw me, and we started talking. She is the best, always smiling, cheerful, and nice to me. From last week, all I think about is how I stole from her. I feel like well, it doesn't seem like she ever found out. No hard feelings, you know? Water under the bridge. Imagine the confusion on people's faces when they dig it up. Yeah, I feel like if you're just like randomly digging or like excavating and you're like, oh, there's a bra here. This has been here for a while, actually. I hope we don't find anything else. Were you hoping to grow a booby tree? I haven't heard of that tree, but if anyone knows where to find a forest of those, let me know. I was a mean girl in middle school and am wondering if I should apologize. I really don't know if this is the right place to post, but I'm doing it. I want to start this off by saying I am in no way trying to apologize to feel better about myself. I'm also not trying to post this in order to get sympathy. In middle school, I was a mean girl, 6th and 7th grade. I desperately wanted to be popular, and I did become popular. However, I grew a huge ego. I picked on people, lost friends, it was a fake friend, talked behind people's backs, made fun of people I thought were weird, laughed at people. I remember tons of text fights me and my friends had too, accusing people of trying to be us and have our style. I was really just jealous and deeply insecure. I mostly grew out of this in 8th grade and I am now 15, but I do not know if I should apologize or not. I do not want the apology to only make me feel better, and I don't want the apology to the girls, who likely want nothing to do with me, to reopen any wounds. I want them to know that I was insecure and jealous of them, and I want them to know that I got a huge amount of karma. I think at this point it feels good knowing they're thriving and I am not. Not in a self-deprecating way, but knowing that bullies do get their karma and the victims live better lives puts me now at ease. 2 of the girls moved away and I cannot find their social medias, so I don't know what to do, but 2 of the others still go to my school. Should I apologize or just leave them be? I'm 40, and I still remember the people who were cruel to me in school. It would have meant the world to me to get an apology from any of them. I'm sorry to hear you're not currently thriving, but I'm proud of you for growing and becoming a better person. Grown adults are still scarred by their victimization at the hands of school bullies. So yes, you should apologize. Unfortunately, your classmates, being so young still, may not be in a very gracious place to hear it, but you are doing the right thing. They also may not trust it right away. What would mean more than an apology would be helping them a little socially, or stepping in with their current victimization. Good luck. Throw them a curveball and send them each a handwritten letter with a genuine apology. If they accept it, great. If not, you've still turned a new leaf. Showing personal effort might leave a lasting impact, one way or the other. I wouldn't go the letter route, but if you happen to see them, just say, hey, I'm sorry I was such a to you in the past. You didn't deserve that. That will be plenty, and it doesn't make it about you and your ego. Yeah, I mean, I remember all my bullies in school. I don't hold many hard feelings against them because we were all stupid kids. But yeah, people remember for a long time. So I definitely think it is a great idea to apologize. Maybe make an effort to become their friend, you know, get involved with their lives in a positive way, you know, make amends. I think it takes a lot to recognize, hey, I did some really shitty things and I regret them and I want to make up for them. So yeah, I say apologizing is the way to go. I told people that I had cancer in the 6th grade. I got bullied really bad in 6th grade because I was very vocal about my love for anime and everyone thought it was weird. This was in 2014. So when I found out I was moving schools, I told my best friend to help me out with telling people I had cancer to make people feel bad for bullying me. She was practically my only friend, so no one would know if I was lying or not, because no one really knew me like that. We started telling people, and when I moved schools, I had her tell them that I died from the cancer. Jesus. She told me this one girl started crying when she told her I died. I don't know if she ever told the truth to them. She hates me now, so I'll never know. Yes, I'm prepared for the future cancer that karma will bring on me for this. Just wanted to put it here. I feel pretty messed up when I think about it. Probably should have made a throwaway account for this. Now people are gonna think I'm really messed up in the head. Whoops. Fantasizing about being sick or injured is a lot more common than you might think, especially if you're experiencing abuse or bullying. You wanted to feel loved and you were like 12. It probably didn't feel great for that girl at the time, but it's really not that bad in the grand scheme of things. I had a good childhood, but would occasionally fantasize about being in a hospital bed with a lot of people around me feeling sorry for me. I told my mom about this when I was 6, and it must have really thrown her because she got so serious and told me to never think like that again. As the youngest middle child of 4 siblings, it's clear to me now that I've always just wanted attention. No biggie, maybe something similar to you. At that age, kids just don't realize how messed up lies like that are. I hope you are living a happy life now. Yeah, kids simply lack the perspective at that age to fully comprehend how hurtful certain lies can be. The important thing is having compassion for your childhood self and using it as a learning experience. When I was a kid, I would steal my classmates' cookie every day from their lunchbox. What the hell? I've never told anyone this, and my classmate still doesn't know. When I was a kid, I saw one of my friends eating a massive white chocolate macadamia nut cookie for lunchtime. That sounds so good. I wasn't given a packed lunch. I had free school meals and a free fruit, so I would get pretty hungry during the day. Anyway, when everyone had taken their first break, I stayed behind in the bathroom. I went to her packed lunchbox and stole her cookie. It was beautiful. It was slow-baked and fresh and had the sweetest taste and tore apart like a crumble in my mouth. To this day, it is still the best cookie I ever had. Anyway, after I'd finished, I threw the rubbish away and returned her lunchbox. Coming up to lunchtime, I kept a keen eye on her, anxious to know if I would be caught and frightened that the jig was up. To my glee, she hadn't noticed that she was missing her cookie. She had probably thought that her mom didn't pack it for her. The next day, the same thing happened. I waited for everyone to leave on the first break, hid in the bathroom, devoured the cookie, discarded the rubbish, and returned the lunchbox. This time during lunch, I could see that she was confused as to why the cookie wasn't in her lunchbox. The rising adrenaline took over, my heart began to race, and my hands became clammy. I watched from a distance, convinced she would come over and confront me. She didn't. After lunch, the case of the missing cookie spread. It was the talk of the class. Someone was stealing her cookie and others were deliberating if they had been struck by the cookie culprit or if they would be next. Accusations were flying. Someone saw another classmate with a similar cookie for lunch, and another person had seen someone in the corridor earlier. I was off the hook again. But now, it was serious. The next day came around and all I could think of was the cookie. I overheard her talking to her friends. She confirmed that her mom had packed it and she would be eating it at lunch. First break came around and I was ready. I snuck into the lunchbox area like before and scoffed the whole thing down, anxious that I would be caught. I scurried out to the playground and went about my day undetected. After lunch, the teacher announced that her mom had called in. Someone had been stealing from her daughter's lunchbox, and she wanted to know who. We were all warned that it was being taken seriously and of the ramifications of our actions. I knew I couldn't steal the cookie again, but I also needed a fall guy. The previous year, a boy in my class had punched me, and I never got my revenge. It was coming together like a jigsaw puzzle. He would be perfect, and it would be believable. I confessed to the teacher that I had seen him looking suspicious in the corridors, and the bait was taken. He had taken the blame and I got off scot-free. I do feel guilty about this to this day, especially for blaming it on someone else. When I look back, I can't believe that I would ever do that, but I did. To my classmates, I'm sorry I stole your cookie, and I'm sorry for blaming you for my actions. This be kinda villainous, but a V entertaining story, so thuks. I was on the edge of the toilet seat the whole time. Dude, you pulled off the perfect crime and got away with it. You are lucky they can't trace you down because the statute of limitations is long since expired. The jig would never be up with the way you hatched that plan. It was a thing of beauty. Framing the jerk was a stroke of genius. Well played. Yeah, that was a roller coaster, dude. Like, I was on the edge of my toilet seat as well. I'm actually recording this in the bathroom. Really good sound treatment. But, yeah. I think that is diabolical. I would be very sad if my mom packed me a delicious giant white macadamia nut cookie and it was gone. I'd be very upset. I would be watching my lunchbox like a hawk, dude. I wouldn't let anyone get away with it. I caused a girl to have to get glasses for the rest of her life. Oh my god, dude. I feel so guilty. It was an accident, but I still feel guilt. In grade 1 or 2, it was winter and recess. I told a girl to go down to the tallest slide on her knees. It was fun for me, and she did. But right at the bottom, she twisted or lost her balance or something and smashed her face off the end of the slide. When she got up, she had her hand over her eye, and it was bleeding above the eyebrow. Didn't seem too bad, but I was a kid, so I don't know. She went home at break, and when she came to school the next day, she ended up having to get stitches and glasses. I'm almost certain she wore glasses for the whole year. I changed schools the year after, but I feel like she needs them permanently. What guilts me more, aside the fact that she needed stitches and glasses, all because I told her to go down the slide in a dangerous way, all I actually cared about was that I was going to get in trouble for getting her hurt. I'm sorry, Purnima. Purnima? I can't even spell her name, but that's how it sounds. Probably got given an eye test at the same time she got her stitches, and just needed glasses anyway. I mean, that's a pretty optimistic way of looking at it. That's what I would hope for. You're such a good person for even feeling guilty for something that happened so long ago when you were a kid. I think you're fine. Huh, thank you. I just wanted her to have a super fun time, not smash her face and go blind. Wait, you're not supposed to feel guilty and crippling regret over every action you took as a child? I can't believe I read that right the first time. When I was 9, I stole my mother's diamond earrings, which were precious family heirlooms, to give them to my sweetheart at the time. My mother comes from an old money family and inherited precious family jewelry, although she almost never wears it. One day in primary school, I decided to give a birthday gift to my sweetheart at the time, Lucille. I went to my mother's bedroom, picked out a pair of beautiful gold and diamond earrings, and put them in a small camera film box. The next day at school, I gave them to Lucille. Since my mother almost never wears jewelry, it took her several months to notice, but when she did, she was very upset. Not only did the earrings have sentimental value, but apparently I had stolen the most expensive pair of all. She searched everywhere for months and asked my brother and me many times if we had seen them. Eventually, my grandfather was informed, and he was furious too because those earrings had been passed down for many generations. It's been over 20 years now, and I've never said anything. Sometimes the topic still comes up at family gatherings. Holy dude. That's like something you reveal like on your deathbed because you're already gonna die. What are they gonna do? Kill you? It's like, God, I would hate if it still got brought up 2 decades later. And what do you say to that? You know, what do you do? Like, you just have to hold on to that. You just gotta bite your tongue, man. That sounds awful. My daughter received some really nice diamond earrings from a boy when she was about 10. We contacted the boy's mom and she was ecstatic. We told her and had them returned. Plot twist, you contacted the wrong mom and OP's mom is still looking for her earrings. My oldest stole my senior ring from my jewelry box and traded it on the playground for some marbles. He was in kindergarten. His teacher called me and I told her to tell him it better be in his pocket when I pick him up, and it was. Oh, thank God. He never tried that again. Dude, imagine it's just gone. It seems much more frequent than I thought. A boy stole my iPod, so I hacked his account and got him taken out of school. When I was in 7th grade, a boy I was friends with told me he had a math test, but forgot his calculator and asked to borrow my iPod. I said sure, but when I went to go get it at the end of the day, he never showed up. The next week, he still never showed up. After the second week, I asked the school office for his mom's phone number and called her saying that he took my iPod but didn't give it back, and the next day she dropped it off in the office. When I took it home, it had all of his accounts logged in, the wallpaper was changed, and all his contacts were in it. Oh yeah, so he just straight up stole it. He tried to finesse it. I wanted to get revenge, so I went on his Facebook and changed his profile picture and cover photo to pictures of porn and made posts about how much he hated his mom and his religion. They were very religious. I knew this would get him into trouble. Apparently, from that moment, his mom decided to take him out of school and homeschool him because he was troubled, although there were other external reasons too, and he was also paranoid for years about being hacked online. I talked to him once years later, and he brought up unprovoked about using fake names online because of someone hacking his account in 7th grade. No one ever found out it was me, and he never even suspected me. I still feel bad, and I'm not sure why I even did it. It's one thing to borrow it and be absent from school because you're sick or family issues, but he made the mistake of logging in and basically staking a claim on the device. Have you tried searching his name online to see what he's been up to? I remember this whole thing because I saw one of his social media accounts. He seems to be fine now, lol. Holy cow, I also got my iPod stolen in 7th grade by a friend who claimed I never let her borrow it. What the heck is wrong with these 7th graders? I still remember her name. F you, Bianca B. Yo, shout out Bianca B for stealing this person's iPod in 7th grade. I mean, I wouldn't feel too bad about it. They tried to steal your iPod, basically. They were like, yep, this is mine now. I'm gonna log in. You know, like, yeah, maybe you couldn't, maybe you shouldn't have put porn on his Facebook, but it's your iPod, you know, he tried to take it. I used to pick my friends mostly based on looks. Too ugly. Next. Too pretty. Next. Somewhere in the middle. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so a little bit of background, just for context is, I was raised by narcissists and specifically a narc mother who was always commenting on other girls' bodies and looks in super critical ways. I knew deep down that everyone was equal and looks shouldn't matter, but I think subconsciously I did this because I heard my parents speak on looks so much, I just went with it without question. Unfortunately, it wasn't until my 30s that I really set aside all care of others' looks, mostly because I did the work to heal the insecure parts of me that even cared. I'm sure it's no surprise that I fell into the mean girls group at one point, and only years later did I accept that I was one for a while. Being raised by toxic people can corrupt even the best intentioned people. Parents set us up with patterns that can be exceptionally difficult to break. Kudos to you for doing the work to break free of that nonsense. It's common to absorb hurtful messages from bad parents, even when we know they're not true. Getting better takes time, and it seems like you're doing well. It's brave to admit when we've messed up before and learn from it. Both of my parents objectified women in front of me and even encouraged me to dress older than my age. They were narcs who had beautiful people over for tea. I'm still unlearning it. Mine did this too. From a young age, I understood that my body and everyone else's was being viewed through a very judgmental lens that I would never be able to adhere to. As much as I rejected this view, it still seeped in and I have a lot of unlearning to do as well. I used to make up crazy stories to see how gullible people are. When I was a teenager, I used to be front-end manager at a grocery store until my early 20s. The job sucked, so I did what I could to amuse myself. We cycled through employees pretty quickly, so sometimes I would make up crazy stories to tell new hires that I didn't think would last too long. One night I had a younger kid on shift. He was like 15 at the time and clearly not the brightest. For some reason I had Velcro strap on my wrist that I needed for something and just put it on as a bracelet so I didn't lose it before I needed it. The kid asked me why I had the Velcro on my wrist, so I convinced him that I had some rare disease where I didn't show up in photographs because my body didn't generate enough static electricity, and I had to wear the Velcro to generate enough static to do so. In all honesty, I never thought it was believable, but he was fascinated. He asked, "So if I take a picture of you right now, you won't show up?" I said, "No, I'm good now, I have my Velcro on." But I came up with a whole backstory about how it was months before anyone noticed because in the age of disposable cameras, my parents picked up on it after getting a bunch of rolls of film developed from when I was an infant to realize I didn't appear in any of the photos, and my family members appeared as if they were holding nothing. That is insanely in-depth. Jesus Christ. I'm glad you grew out of it. I'm in my 40s and still do things like this. Plot twist. This is a made-up story. I mean, yeah, it might be, but come on, it's kind of fun, right? I have a friend that does this. She wouldn't know, but we all know she's lying and over-exaggerating things. We talk about it to each other as well. You may not realize, but people know and they're talking about you. They won't say anything to your face, but they won't trust everything coming out of your mouth. I do this to strangers, not people I actually care about. Chill. When I was 8 or 9, I charged several $1,000s for my grandparents whom I live with. To this day, they don't know it was me. When I was very young, I was extremely addicted to Roblox, and one day I decided to buy Robux with my grandparents' credit card. That's when this one kid who was probably older than me took advantage of my stupidity, and I ended up giving him probably several hundreds of dollars worth in Robux. When they found out about the charges, I just lied about it and somehow got away with it. I am now 13, almost 14, but I feel horrible for what I did, and I would be very scared to admit this. 1. I bet they knew. They are smarter than you think. 2. You are partially to blame, but those in-game purchases are predatory, and this is exactly what they hope will happen. It's not the end of the world. Apologize and offer a way to make it right. Yeah, exactly. Grandparents are the best, no doubt. Addiction is hard. As long as you realize how this was a bad thing, you are good. Happened to me when I was 7 and my mom thinks Roblox hacked her credit card. Happened to you, or you made it happen? I don't know, but all I know is it wasn't me who used the card, it was my brother. When I was 13, I spit on a stranger's head from the 3rd floor of a mall. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you people? I was being dumb and I guess my intrusive thoughts won that day. Yeah, I guess so. I was peering over the balcony and I saw a lady sitting down. I was thinking, there's no way my spit could hit her from here. I outwent the spit and it fell right on her head. I felt so bad, but I ducked as soon as she flinched. It was you! About 10 years ago, I had a really mouthy girlfriend, now ex. One time she was driving and I was in the passenger seat. We came across a group of teenage girls who were, shall we say, a little slow to get out of the road. My ex opened her window and started shouting at them. This girl just saunters over as cool as a cucumber and spits at her point blank, and plop, it went straight into my ex's mouth. It shut her up. When I was 16, my boyfriend and I were stopped at a red light. I was in the passenger seat and had just cracked one of those movie candy-sized boxes of nerds. The person next to us was in a convertible. We were in a truck that sat significantly higher than the car. His brother was in the back seat, and to this day I have no clue what possessed him to say, "You should rain those nerds down in that car." And I didn't think twice. I reached out the window and slung that whole box of nerds into that car. I think about it still to this day and how unnecessary it was. Jesus Christ, man, you do that to the wrong person. I mean, like you are going to be like dead. You're gonna get hunted down. You're gonna get rammed off the road, man. People are insane. I stole from my work as a teacher when I didn't get a raise. When I was a teenager, I worked for a local chain of gift stores that specialized in greeting cards. We had 8 stores in the region, and not once did any of us ever work in any other location than our store. I worked there for 2.5 years. I was never late, never called in sick, picked up extra shifts whenever they asked me to, worked late for special events, and volunteered holidays. I was even put in charge of my own department, ordering and floor setting Mikasa crystal. But I was always paired with a miserable supervisor. She was an older woman who used to make us massage her back, tie her shoes, kept drinks at the cash wrap even though it was allowed, and loved to leave us with one cashier, usually me, at our busiest time. She also had this lovely habit of coming into the break room to see what we were eating for lunch and say, "You can eat that in 10 minutes, you need to be on the floor, we're busy." We were an extremely busy store. It was the 90s. Everyone complained about her, but nothing ever got done. I absolutely adored the job, but working with Beth was pure torture. At the 2-year mark when raises were being handed out, I was given a 0.10 per hour raise. The reason? Well, Beth said you aren't a team player. I was furious. Money was tight at home, so I worked to buy my own school lunches, clothes and car insurance, gas, school supplies, etc. My senior prom was coming up and I needed a dress. This store sold a lot of collectibles. Think of the overpriced bric-a-brac they used to sell in the 90s that all of our moms hoarded thinking they would be valuable someday. Figurines, little light-up houses, plates, etc. One day, a customer bought a new figurine that had recently come out. It was from a collection of figurines featuring doe-eyed children, to give you an idea. It was huge and very expensive for the line, around $300. She paid with cash. I went to the back to get one of the boxed ones. Noticed there were half a dozen more of the same figurine. After I rang her out, I reprinted her receipt. This was before transaction capturing. Our reprint didn't say they were reprints. I then went to the back, took one of the figurines and stashed it in the trash. Beth would never take the trash to the dumpster. I always had to do it, so I did and stashed the box behind the compactor and retrieved it after my shift. 2 days later, I went to another one of our stores in the next town over and returned it for cash. I did this every few weeks for the last 6 months I was there, only ever cash transactions, and only when we're busy, so 1, no one would notice me reprinting receipts, and 2, I was always going into the stock room. I only did it with boxed collectibles that we kept in the back. Never got caught. We had enough stores in the area that I could go to a different one each time, so no one was wondering why one store was getting so many returns from our store. I quit that to fall and leave for college. Looking back, I know it was stupid, not just immoral, but they definitely would have pressed charges had I been caught. And I really did like the job. While classmates my age were standing over deep fryers, I was dusting crystal and straightening cards, and came home smelling like scented candles rather than lard. So I felt rotten about it later, but my parents were really struggling and I was a teenager on my own to pay for even basic essentials and getting ready to leave for college. The chain folded a few years later due to impersonal problems between the owners. I don't think they ever noticed the missing merchandise. For asshole managers and owners like that, I wouldn't sweat it. Stores closed down anyway, and I doubt the scheme you had going ran them out of business. Yeah, I was desperate at the time, and I started thinking about 2 years of having to work through lunch breaks, unpaid because of that witch. You invented quiet quitting. Everybody does it now. I'm stealing time from my employer as I type this, and I feel justified in doing so. People have been stealing from their employers for a long time. I think quiet quitting is doing the bare minimum until you get fired, not stealing $300 every week. But I don't know, definitions change over time. I used to love going in those stores, looking at all the things I couldn't afford, lol. It was at the height of the Beanie Baby craze too. Shudders.
I can't help but stare at girls' boobs when they are braless in public. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can help it. I've noticed lately that more and more girls are going braless, and I have absolutely zero problems with it. Yeah, because you're weird? My problem is I find it impossible not to stare at girls' nipples if they're poking through their shirt. I see so many beautiful girls walking up and down the streets, and immediately their nipples catch your eyes, and I'll notice them catching me staring at them, even though I'm trying my hardest not to make it obvious. Anyone have input on whether or not girls are okay if I don't think they are. No, I don't think women are okay with you doing that. They're not going braless because they want people to look at their boobs. You know, from what I have heard, bras just suck ass, and nobody likes dealing with them a lot. You know, not blanket statement across the board, but yeah, you can help it. All you have to do, and this is kind of crazy, is not look at people's boobs. It is that easy, okay? I'm a woman with big boobs who goes braless whenever possible. I don't care if I catch you looking. I understand that the novelty of unbound breasts is distracting, but looking and staring are different things. If we're having a conversation and you can't or don't care to make eye contact because my humanity is less interesting to you than my tits, then it'll be a short conversation. So yeah, I could see that. Like, I don't mind if I catch you looking. I mean, my boobs are, breasting boobly, as some romance novels would say. But yeah, I can't help myself from staring. That's such a dumbass thing to say. Like, no, you can. It's easy. My boyfriend just admitted he's a psychopath to me and that he picked me. Oh, good God, that's a long one. Uh-oh. I don't know where else to say this, so I'll leave it here. I've been with him for about 6 months and have known him for about 3 months before that. He's gorgeous and witty, intelligent? I just invented a new word, and I think it might actually work. Witty, intelligent, charismatic. Genuinely not at all what I stereotyped a psychopath to be. Really? They're very good actors. I truly would have never known it. Sure, sometimes he can be a little cold, a little dry, and there have been times in our relationship where I'm expressing something he's done to express me that I'm catching the drift he genuinely does not give a f***, even if he amends it. My biggest clue, however, was watching him adapt insanely good depending on those around him. We've always been in the same friend group, so I've always seen him act a certain way, behave a certain way. And yes, being his girlfriend, I get to see a different side to him, but barely. 2 nights ago, I went to a work event for his work with him, and I watched in awe as he literally acted like an entirely different person. Everyone loves him because he was acting exactly how they wanted him to, needed him to. The jokes they told that I could have sworn he would think were heinous, he laughed at and made similar jokes. Topics of discussion he does not care for, they brought up, and he talked with them feigning amazing interest. It was like he had morphed into this amazing person for them. One nothing like the person I was used to. I asked him about it on the drive back to mine. He tried gaslighting me. He acted normal. I didn't buy it. I didn't invite him to mine like I always did, and I guess that's when I figured, or when he figured I was mad. He didn't contact me for 2 days. My boyfriend had upset me, and he didn't care to contact me, Kay. Then he ended up showing up and insisting to talk to me, and he told me he was a psychopath. I laughed in his face and told him to get out. He brought his medical information with him, stubborn prick, to prove it all. The tests, the diagnosis, all of it. I was floored. He told me that people like him are extremely good at adapting to social situations that serve them to fit into. Of course, being friendly and liked at work served him. It's why he's been promoted so fast. It's never a bad thing to have too many friends, so he masks and adapts when meeting new people and screens them to decide if he really even wants or cares to have them for a friend. I asked him, why me? Why had he made me his long-term girlfriend? And he simply said, I'm at a point in my life where I think I should have a girlfriend. Probably one I'll marry. I knew you for 3 months and I liked you enough, so I picked you. Picked me? He told me it was when him and I were walking back to mine, and I had made a joke he found genuinely funny. And he noticed he found me genuinely pretty, and he decided then and there, yeah, okay, I'll pick her. And boom, a month later we were together. I'm so confused. Does this mean he likes me? Does he love me? Is this as close to love as psychopaths get? I asked him if he genuinely loved me, and he said, I would marry you. Doesn't that answer it? No. I said I needed time, and he just left. I realized he literally doesn't give a shit, so that's why. But he is giving me time. I love him. I don't know if I could live with this. I'm just confused, and I don't want to tell anyone just yet. I feel embarrassed that I never figured it out. Anyways, leaving it here. Good lord. That is a lot. That is so much to take in. I'm gonna have to sit on that for a while myself, because when it comes to psychopaths or psychopathy or sociopathy, stuff like that, you only ever see it in movies and TV shows, generally associated with a guy who is a serial killer or something along those lines. You know, they become a murderer because they're so good at it, because psychopaths are just brilliant at being social chameleons and stuff. But, I mean, I don't know. I guess there's a lot more we all have to learn about what that actually means. My sister's boyfriend touched my boob. I was with my sister's boyfriend and his friend at the beach. He wanted to use my chest as a pillow. He then proceeded to push away my boob with his hand. He did this multiple times and said, "You don't mind, do you?" I didn't really know what to say and thought that maybe he found this normal. Maybe he was just really touchy with everyone in that way. He called me prude before and also said that he couldn't believe that I was my sister's little sister. He had put his hand on my hip while he laid down next to me. I called him my brother as a joke. He said that he found it weird that I called him that. He also said that that day I was a replacement for my sister. Should I tell my sister? They're living together and are moving into their new home next month. I feel like you should. You know, I definitely feel like you should tell your sister about this dude being pretty creepy and touchy. Like, straight up. That is weird. I don't... Let her know. My now ex-wife was begging for a divorce during my chemo treatments. This won't be a long read, and this isn't much of a confession because just about everyone I know knew about it. So, really, I'm on here to talk about it and hear everyone else's opinions and comments. You let me know if it's screwed up or not. So I was diagnosed with stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma back in November of 2022. This was a very treatable type of cancer, and my oncologist and other doctors reminded me every week, and it made me feel at ease. At the time, I was married to this woman of 5 years, together for 10 total. In the beginning, she was there for me and helped me every step of the way to get through this process of me having cancer. Keep in mind, as a grown man, internally I was a nervous wreck 24/7. I started my 4 cycles of treatment on January of 2023. After about my second cycle, I was feeling the effects of the chemotherapy. Puking every day, feeling weak and tired, hair and beard was falling out, and it resulted in me having to shave everything. During all that, we get into a fight, and it leads to her telling me she straight up is not happy in our marriage and that she wants a divorce. No matter how many times I've suggested that we get counseling of some sort, it just never seemed to interest her at all into trying. So by the time I was finished with my 4th cycle of chemo, I packed my shit, bought a camper, and set it up on my uncle's property. Luckily, I have really good family that helped me out every step of the way. Thinking back on how we ended things, it really felt messed up, and I was sad that it happened that way. But I will say this though, I am very happy with where I'm at now. I'm over a year into remission, and every CT scan so far has been coming back clean. I'm living with the best girlfriend I could ever ask for. Thanks in advance to those who took the time to read my little confession. Oh, My Little Confession, I love that show. I don't care that a 7-year-old is getting hate for abusing a cat. I recently learned that a 7-year-old got doxxed and a lot of death threats for posting a video of abusing what looks like, to me, a kitten. What? I don't care that he got a lot of hate and death threats. I don't know how to feel about the doxing part. I hope that scared the living shit out of him and that no one abuses that information like a predator or something like that. What I care about is that I hope this whole situation puts the fear of God in him and that he cries and regrets everything he did. If a 7-year-old can record a video of abusing his cat and upload it to YouTube with a well-written title, then in my opinion, he deserves that backlash. I understand that a lot of people don't like how the internet is handling it by giving him death threats, but I don't care. He knows what he's doing, and I hope him and his parents learn from this. I had my mom help me upload videos when I was 7, so either the 7-year-old did all of this work by himself or the parents helped him. I just don't care. What the hell is going on? Can't stop thinking about what the dermatologist said. Yeah, weird, I know. Went to a new dermatologist recently. My old one retired, so I was assigned this new doc. He was young and professional. He did his exam, and then at the end of the visit, he complimented me on my skin. You have beautiful skin, great color and texture. It felt very genuine. I'm a middle-aged, morbidly obese, perimenopausal woman? I've never seen that word before. Who never gets any positive remarks, so I soaked that up like a dry sponge. Didn't realize how thirsty I was for genuine positive compliments and attention. It has shaken me, because it woke that part of my memory that I used to be a young, attractive, thin woman who did always get compliments and attention. I've been so used to being unseen. Anyhow, I guess my confession is that I'm embarrassed that such a simple remark has made me feel so much. I thanked him, but damn, I should have been able to move on from this. I ended my relationship this morning. It was the time to make some life decisions. Before I don't know who I am. I ended my 4+ year relationship this morning at 9:39 EST. I'm not sure what I've been doing for 4 years with this person. After a Trump tirade about the debate, she still backs him, looks at me and makes comments about me and my beliefs. I love this country and we do need to save it. My last words to her were, I cannot respect someone who respects this man. Well, it sounds like she also disrespects you by making comments about you and your beliefs, because you're not valid. Thanks for reading. I needed to share and need a beer and real human connection, or interaction. Get me the hell out of this place and talk to me, so I know I'm not alone. Edit. I did not end this relationship over Donald Trump. I am 54 years old and have spent the last 4 years with someone who turned into a different person over the last 2 years. And this event was the final straw for me. I've been trying to get her into therapy with me and work on the relationship, only to be met with ridicule and nastiness. I made a decision that I needed to make, and I am venting as I am in the thinking process of the next chapter of my life. Actually, very smart edit to throw in there so people don't turn this into, oh wow, 'cause of Donald Trump. I mean, he was the last straw at this point. I'm a nurse. This may have been the worst thing I've ever done. Oh, jeez. I, 26, have been a nurse going on 5 years now. That's not a ton of time, but I've had my fair share of mishaps throughout my career. Currently, I work as a nurse at an outpatient surgery center. My job is to get the patient ready for their surgery and recover them afterwards. During the pre-op period, we connect electrodes to a patient's chest for EKG monitoring to monitor their heart throughout the procedure and during the recovery. After the patient has had enough time to recover, we take the patches off. This is where I messed up. I was taking care of a woman in her early 20s. For context's sake, she was small. There are 5 patches I needed to take off as I was getting her ready for discharge. 2 are at the corners of each side of the chest, 1 in the center, and 2 just below the breast on each side. The patient gowns at my center only tie in the back. Some places have gowns with buttons on the sleeve, which can be undone for easier access. My center does not have this. This then means that to reach the lower 2 patches, I have to loosen the gown and reach down in the front to get them off of them. In this particular case, this patient was somewhat shy and did not want to be exposed. Her mom was in the room with her and I offered her as much privacy as I could. I only slightly lowered her gown so as not to expose anything and blindly reached down to grab the last 2 patches. I pinched at what I thought to be the electrode attached to the patch. I was wrong. It was the unfortunate patient's nipple. I apologized immediately and quickly went about finishing my task while internally dying. For her credit, she did not really react too much besides turning a few shades red, as I am sure I had as well. I got the patient out and sent her on her way, unable to look her in the eye, and spent the rest of the day battling my embarrassment. I told my coworkers what I had done, and the story quickly spread to the staff. They all had a good laugh at it. It's not the worst thing in the world, and realistically, it wasn't that terrible of a thing to do, but it has definitely been the worst and most embarrassing thing I've done thus far. See, that feels kind of lighthearted in comparison to some of the other ones that we've seen on here today. I mean, I get that it was an inappropriate mistake, but it seems like the two of you went your separate ways and probably now have a story that you're comfortable sharing because it's kind of funny, you know? It's just a silly oops. I messed up, you apologized, everything's okay. I regret having an open marriage. I'm 31 and female, married and have a daughter, so my husband and I had an open marriage for about a year. I love my husband, but he was the one that came up with the idea. Yeah, that's always a great idea. He knew I had kind of a hypersexual lifestyle before meeting him, so to make the story short, he wanted me to sleep with other guys. That being said, I'm falling for this guy I met. He's perfect. Everything. I still love my husband, but it hurts me to say that if I had to choose one for the other, I wouldn't choose my husband. When my husband wanted this, it spiced things up, but I started to see him differently. I'm just regretting the whole situation. I hope things can stay the same and not end up in a divorce or anything. I do love my husband so much, but it's not the same love I had when we first got married. Counseling, yesterday. Therapy, yesterday. I hate my wife for opening the marriage. Oh, wait a minute. I, 34, hate my 39-year-old wife. Jeez, okay. She suggested we open up the marriage a few years ago to spice things up. She invited a few women she was interested in into bed, and I ended up sleeping with her and them. I did not find any of them the least bit attractive and kinda went through the motions, and it was awful. She also initiated a foursome with a couple, and I just had to leave the room before doing anything and decided to close the relationship shortly after. Since then, every time we have sex, we do it doggy style because I don't want to see her face. She thinks I just enjoy having sex with her in her favorite position. I have recently found out she has repeatedly cheated with multiple men and women behind my back through Snapchat texts. It's like my whole relationship was a waste. I cannot remember why we got married because I cannot remember a time where I enjoyed her company. Good Lord. We do not hang out together. We do have no hobbies together. I refuse to watch any movies or TV with her, and I stopped drinking completely while she has to be drunk 3 to 5 times a week. I will be initiating a divorce soon, and I'm actually excited to do so. I was gonna say, this has to end in you leaving, for sure. It definitely seems like the healthiest thing, probably for the both of you. I will leave my wife within 2 days after being 5 years together. Throwback to her youth. Her father died in a car accident when she was 14. Got in a depression when she was 16, lost all of her friends and never had any people to hang out with or have fun with. Today, she turned out to be this amazing, beautiful woman who is now 5 years together with me. We're 2 years married and built a house 1 year ago. Last year, she changed her job and now has a lot of female colleagues from her age, 28, who love to party. She got totally addicted to partying. We got in an open marriage so she can have fun without being worried of doing something wrong. She postponed her child wish so she can continue having fun. She works 3 weekend days in the month and parties 4 weekend days in the month. My last year consisted of only waiting for her to wake up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to just have a lazy day. I'm no longer number one in her life. She prefers partying instead of going on a day trip with me to the beach or the forest nearby. In the week, she works until 9 o'clock and wants to go to bed at 11 because she's tired. So almost no quality time during the week as well. I'm done. It destroys me only to see her having fun and not giving any attention to me. I said yes on everything she wanted to do to keep her happy, but she totally lost sight of my needs. We talked a lot about it and she understands, but she does not want to give up the life she has now. For the first time, she's happy and having fun, and she won't compromise. So now you all know. I don't know what to do. I will tell her the day after tomorrow that we are finished. I am bleeding inside. Greetings from a broken man. Well, she doesn't get to have her cake and eat it too, you know? I mean, that's... if she's just, like, what are you to her at this point? It seems like, as you pointed out, she's not giving you any attention. And look... You don't give your spouse every single ounce of your attention forever, but if you ignore them completely forever and go have fun without them exclusively, man, you guys aren't together at all. Edit, thanks for all the support. I just want to add, it's funny to see how many people get stuck on the open marriage thing. This doesn't affect us. We had some arguments, yes, but we also had some fun with it. The major problem here is she prefers partying above spending quality time with me. Going out is for her a possibility to run away from her emotional problems, and she got addicted to it. We lived together, and in 7 days, there might have been 16 hours where I see her. See, yeah, that's fucked up. Update, I went 2 weeks on holidays to Morocco, and just before that, I made the step and told her I want a divorce and my reasons. Only response I got was, okay, I understand. No arguments from her side. She didn't want to try and persuade me not to do it. Today, her mom called me and she is 100% supporting me and she regrets her daughter doing this shit. She tried to convince me that her daughter had some time alone and had to figure some things out. A friend of mine had a talk with my ex and she admitted she misses me and she's not sure if this is what she wants. My ex went to southern France on holiday, just had a 14-hour drive and texted me she is going to that club again. I made the correct call. This ends here and now. Nor her mom nor her friends can convince me that she wants or needs a chance to get me back. Good God. I lied to my coworkers about having a girlfriend so I can go home early and watch My 600-Pound Life every night, and my life has gotten exponentially better. Oh, that rules. I'm a chef, and I usually get off of work around 12 to 1. Usually, all the mates want to go have shots and lines at the local until we stagger back in at 14 for our, I love saying time like that, for our next shifts, and I've happily obliged all year. This month, I started leaving very quickly and going straight home. Originally just to save money. Usually right when I get home, My 600-Pound Life is on, so I started watching it, and oh my God, equally disturbing, motivational, and inspiring. I'm quite skinny, but one quote that sticks with me is, most people with addictions get to lie and pretend it all away. I don't get that option. Totally stuck with me. I truly believe if my addiction manifested itself, I'd be grotesque. Anyways, I've been doing this every night this month to the point where a rumor that I must be seeing someone began, so I ran with it. I've never felt better and more secure in my sobriety and peace of mind. Straight home, cup of tea, feed the cat, My 600-Pound Life, motivation to stay clean and stay sober for the night. Peace. It's the weirdest shit, but I'm loving it. Man, that is currently what I am chasing right now. I need to figure out how to stop the alcohol, man. I don't know how to stop. I don't know how. And god damn it. My girlfriend didn't want me to find her Reddit account. I did anyways, and I regret it. Uh-oh, Reddit account. Does she like memes? So for context, I've been with my beautiful girlfriend for a few months now, and she's absolutely wonderful. I love her. Recently, we got onto the topic of Reddit somehow, and she said she uses it constantly. I asked her for her username, and she flat out rejected me and said no. We went back and forth a bit, and I decided to drop the subject. The next day, she gave me the username and apologized. When I searched the account, I discovered it had been made that day. That was an instant red flag to me, and my mind went to the worst places. I thought she was cheating on me using Reddit or something. No. Does she really really like something lame? Is she super into Warhammer? Okay, no. Anyway, I confronted her about this and she immediately went into defense mode and said it was to get me off her back because she has things she's not comfortable with me seeing. This started a huge fight where I blatantly said I knew she was cheating and she was so offended and stormed out. I figured if I'm going to find out what's going on, I needed to see the phone for myself. I sent her an apology and we talked things out. A few weeks go by and I come home from work and she's passed out on the couch with TikTok open and playing, meaning her phone was unlocked. Cool, man. I went through the entire thing and found nothing, even in the messages with her friends. She was bragging about me. I finally got to the Reddit and my heart sank. She has made multiple posts in I see, survivor support group. Mind you, she's never told me she's had this happen to her. She had made a post telling her story, which made me sick to my stomach. She had been assaulted by her ex for years. She lived with him from age 15 to 18. Her most recent post was asking for advice on how to have a normal, intimate life, because every time she tried to be intimate with me, it would bring back memories, and she was worried it would cause a panic attack. She mentioned in the group she didn't tell me and didn't want to tell me because she was too embarrassed. My heart sank, I felt sick to my stomach, I can't believe she's been going through this. It made sense. We had been together for months and we had never had sex. Just a few moments where she let me, okay, dude. But she asked me to stop, which I immediately did. I have never touched her without asking. I have never made her feel bad and always tell her that she could tell me no because it's her body. I don't have a high sex drive, so, it doesn't really matter. It's not something I need. If I would have known, I would never have made any moves. I would have waited for her. I would have done research on how to support her and make her feel safe. I would have helped pay for therapy and helped her find anything she needed to heal. It's been 2 weeks since I found out. I haven't told her because it's her story, and I want her to have the right to share it when she feels safe. Well, you kind of took that away from her because you didn't trust her. You took that away from her because you already know. I've avoided anything sexual so that she can make the move when she's comfortable. This has been eating me alive. I feel awful for looking. I feel like I violated her. Well, I'm glad that you understand what you've done and the gravity of this situation, okay? I'm glad you get it. And I'm glad that it seems like you are moving in the correct direction. But yeah, you did kind of take that away. You know, she might get around to it. But you gotta realize, now she might not. My ex made me watch the weirdest shit. I have never told this to anyone, and genuinely, I just need to tell anyone this. My ex and I were hanging out while we were still together when we see some meme related to BJ's. He jokes about me giving him one, so I joke back and say, do it yourself. He then proceeds to tell me that he actually could. Of course I don't believe him, but we moved on. Later that same day, while making out and already naked, he goes, I told you I could do it, watch. Then he proceeded to do it. In hindsight, while impressive, I genuinely do not understand why he would show me that. What he thought my reaction was going to be, or why he expected us to still have sex afterwards. Edit. I'm not trying to demonize my ex. It was just an odd story that was stuck on my mind. If you don't know anything about a relationship besides a self-suck story, maybe don't start judging in weird ways. He was emotionally and physically abusive later on in the relationship. If I wanted to demonize him, I would have not chosen the story of him sucking his own dick. Yeah, that wouldn't be the way to go if they were a bad person in general. It's just, yeah, that is strange. That's real strange. Generally, you want to have a long conversation about weird stuff that you're into before you go, check this shit out. My wife died earlier this year. According to everyone who knows us, it was quick. She went in the hospital that afternoon, died overnight. I'm the only one who knows that it's a lie. In reality, she was in the hospital for nearly a week, but she hated people seeing her when she was weak and begged me not to tell anyone. And then a day later, she wasn't lucid enough to change her mind, and I couldn't betray her. Not when I figured she would be up in a few days and angry at me for telling. I told work I had COVID, so I couldn't come into the office, and worked from home or the hospital. She'd been laid off recently, with all the layoffs happening, and it had been quiet while recovering. So no one suspected anything. She was even in the hospital during my birthday, but I just posted on social media a pic of her present. Neither of us were the type to wait till the day of to hand it over, so I already had it. No one questioned it. I sat through the worst conversations of my life with the doctors alone, but I truly didn't believe she was going to die. She was young, we had time, I was wrong. An unexpected medical issue and she's gone. No one knows still. I can't tell them, but I can tell anonymous strangers on the internet as I toast to our anniversary. So happy anniversary, baby. I'm nothing without you. Jesus. I never realized people wipe while sitting down. I mean, I do a handstand. I'm 34 years old, and a few months ago, someone was talking about teaching their kid potty training and said he was having difficulty sitting and wiping. And I said, well, why would you do that while sitting? Why not stand up? And he looked at me and says, no, sitting and wiping is the right way. Your cheeks are already spread. Anyways, I stand and wipe and never knew that was different from anyone else. I feel like we're about to have another wave of people that are like, well, I stand up when I do that, and it's going to cause a whole cascade of, it's going to be like this dumbass war of, no, you're an idiot if you do that. No, you're stupid if you sit. It's like, who gives a crap? Okay, I guess we all do. We all do, at least, once a day, hopefully. Jesus. I lied and canceled my Friday night plans by saying I was sick. I'm not. I'm just an emotional wreck because I discovered that in every childhood photo I have, I'm covered in bruises. As I was putting on my makeup to go out tonight, I tracked down a specific picture in one of my phone's photo albums. I found it, but then I zoomed in and made the realization. Went to the next one, same thing. I don't know how I never noticed before. I'm 27 now, but it's in every single photo if you look closely enough. Picture after picture of my toothy smile, messily cut bangs, and bruises. In a picture of me smiling with my cousins at my grandmother's house, I can see my mother's fingers imprinting on my arm. I remember that day. I remember that bruise. There's one of me standing on the couch. My bottom lip is split and my left cheek is dark red. I have my arms around my parents' shoulders and everyone's grinning ear to ear. I was about that age the first time my father tried to sneak in bed with me. Both me and my parents thought we were hiding it so well from everyone else. We were a perfectly normal family for the area. They used to send me to school with makeup on, brief me on the lies I'd tell to explain my injuries, and made it abundantly clear that if I ever told anyone the truth that they'd kill me. But it was right there. Nobody saw it. Nobody else knows. At most, my closest friends know that my mother hit me once because I've joked about it, but There is not a soul that knows the extent. I love my friends, but there's not a chance I could speak to them honestly about this. I've tried therapy several times. I've paid a lot of money to sit there and try and work up the nerve to just admit it, but then I can't. I end up lying for an hour and never going back. Maybe one day. Who knows? Maybe this Reddit confession will be a baby step in the right direction. Still, this is just a hiccup. It really sucks, and I'm shocked at how it hit me like a freight train. I was looking forward to the plans I bailed on. Hope they enjoy it without me. I'm going to allow myself to be utterly miserable tonight and then do something fun tomorrow. Honestly, even just typing this up helped calm me down quite a bit. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. Congrats. You're the only people who know my little secret. I appreciate that. Go enjoy your weekend. I'm gonna go wipe this makeup off now. Yeah, I mean, you were able to finally say it. Sure, it might have been to a bunch of strangers on the internet, but hey, as you said, a baby step in the right direction. Any step in the right direction is what you want, right? And this is a net positive. I will see it as that. Hopefully you're able to go back to someone like a real therapist again and finally go, this is what happened. And maybe fully get everything off of your chest and get those demons out of your head forever. Demons being your parents.
My little cousin cracked my iPhone XS Max screen. Made my aunt pay $329 knowing I have Apple Care and it only cost me $29. Straight out the gate, scamming family members. Love it! Let's see how they justify themselves. My little cousins are the biggest schmitz in the world, okay? Starting out strong, really strong. And my aunt pretty much lets them do whatever they want without consequence. They were roughhousing and knocked my phone off the counter, shattering the screen. My closest Apple store is about 2 hours away, and it's a huge inconvenience for me to drive there, not to mention the extra gas. So instead of explaining this to her, she's the kind of person who doesn't care about things that don't affect her directly. I told her it was $329 to fix, which is true if I didn't have Apple Care. So she wrote me a check for $329 and I only had to pay $29 and I pocketed the extra $300. I consider that my non-disclosed inconvenience fee. Now, according to Australian dollar-dues, your replacement screen costs half the phone. It cost me $400 to replace the screen on my $2,500 Galaxy Fold. I'm just like, if anyone wants to accuse someone of scamming here, I think it's Apple. Now, I'm sure one of you has the mindset of, well, these are just being kids. It's not their fault that you were leaving your phone lying around somewhere it could be bumped off. Firstly, hello there, Devil's Advocate. Allow me to introduce you to more context. Edit, my cousins are 14 and 15. Not exactly toddlers. But yeah, even then, as some people say, it's basically like paying Apple Care anyway. It's not really like you made a saving, because you're still paying for the Apple Care. Though, as they explain, they kind of recuperate their costs with it anyway. So hey, yeah, win-win. Oh, don't feel too bad. I've done something similar. A girl got real drunk at a New Year's party I hosted, got into a fight with her boyfriend, and started throwing empty glass beer bottles at him in my kitchen. So we asked them to leave. On the way out, she punched a hole through one of our windows. She must have seen her boyfriend's reflection in it. Her boyfriend made her pay for damages after days of her acting like,
"That's the risk you take when you throw a party."
So I found a Feldco quote to repair it for around $260 and sent that to them. Meanwhile, I used to rehab houses, so I bought a new pane, cut it to size, and put it in with some new siding for about $50 worth of materials. I didn't tell them that and took the $210 in profit because honestly, frick you for being that kind of rude. Okay, well now in comparison, yours is far more justified though. Like, okay, in the OP's original story, the aunt is being rather careless and inconsiderate, but I'm gonna have a hot take here. I think this aunt's just given up on these kids. I think the only reason she doesn't care about things that don't affect her directly is because she's gotten so mentally exhausted dealing with these two little schmitz. Just, oh, look, I've done many jobs over the years where I've had to mind kids and oh man. But hey, look, on the bright side, at least you didn't schmidt on your hamster. Those who know, know. Before I went to bed, I called my girlfriend with a low battery and told her I'll talk to her until my phone died. She began talking about The Bachelor and I pretended my phone died by... Oh my god! Oh god, I got the hyena laugh out of me. Oh damn. Oh, to disrespect the love of your life like that, surely you feel bad about. I regret nothing. Update. Wow, this got way more popular than I wanted it to. Just an FYI, we have been dating for 5 years and could not be in a happier, healthier relationship. When she saw this post, she got a really good laugh out of it. You fool. That laughter of hers was menacing. It wasn't in any sort of rapport with you. She's laughing because she's locked and loaded this into her ammunition belt. She's placing that trap card face down, ending her turn, and isn't going to activate it until you suddenly, 6 months from now, start winning an argument. Or, on the contrary to a happier relationship, maybe she started to talk about The Bachelor because she knew you would hang up. I hope she doesn't Reddit because this is way too specific for her not to know this is you. I found it. And I was already suspicious. Honestly, more bitter that his Reddit karma is higher than mine now. I once dated someone pretty obsessed with keeping up with the Kardashians. I sent her deep-fried memes of the show, relentlessly roasting it for about a month before she finally got the hint and stopped talking about it. And dumped me, but mission accomplished either way. Yes, congrats, man. A relationship failed successfully. Hey, you took this from the Unethical Life Pro Tip post telling people to do exactly this. Oh, wow. So strange that one would fake a scenario to gain attention on an online forum. I'll say, the audacity to read something that's in a subreddit that's literally called Life Pro Tips, and then actually practicing it. What's next? Actually doing the things your therapist suggests you do? I was mean in elementary school. It still bothers me. When I was in approximately 2nd or 3rd grade, I was an a-hole. I would draw exaggerated pictures of the only chubby girl and write, "Helen is a fatso," not her actual name, on it. I was very rude to her even when she attempted to be kind to me. I would also try to subtly tell adults I knew who would pick me up from school in a group of after-school activities that the other kids had seen them and were talking about how fat they were, and lie more, saying that I took up for them. Jesus, this person was going after everyone, even the adults? This child is chaotic evil at this point. I've attempted to find some of these people in my young adult life all the way to today to no avail to apologize. I can't believe I was such an a-hole. Yeah, look, I'm not gonna say that it's something that deserves equal pity as the actual victims of bullying, but there is certainly shame, arguably deserved shame, in being someone who, as you grow older and mature, you realize that, oh man, I, at least for a moment, ruined someone's life. Just out of pure ignorance, and yeah, it's unfortunate that, as comments say, it's something that we all kind of realize a bit too late. I was a jerk as well, and I don't know why. Here's the funny thing, my second son is the same way, and I hate it. When I was in about 6th or 7th grade, I randomly walked up to a boy in my class in front of a bunch of people and kicked him in the nuts. Oh my god! Why? I think for clout or attention, I don't know. Anyway, I still think about that moment to this day and regret my actions. As a kid, you don't really think much about other people's feelings and only about yourself. It haunts me. Okay, I'm sorry, but your haunting memory of childhood is someone's injured nuts. I fibbed about being a chili master, and now I'm in over my head. Alright, I need to come clean, because this is becoming a bigger ordeal than I ever thought it would, and either getting it off my chest will help, or maybe someone has some advice. I was in the office the other week, started a new position a couple of months ago, and some of my coworkers were talking about cooking. For context, I don't know how to cook. I am a microwave master chef, if you will. They're all going around saying what their best dishes are until it gets around to me. I don't know if I just got caught up in the moment or if I just wanted these people to like me so much. Look, it's been rough making new friends since moving here for work, but I just blurted out the first thing I could think of. They got interested and started asking more and more clarifying questions. Long story short, they now think I came runner-up in my old town's chili cooking competition with my family's multi-generational chili. Now, I thought I got away with it. Harmless white lie. When does something like that come back up? Well, yesterday apparently. Just my luck, one of my coworkers' HOA is holding a charity chili cook-off, and now the office is trying to convince me to enter. It's your chance to actually win one now, and it's for a good cause. I'm screwed. I tried to act excited and told them I'd consider, but I am serious when I say the most complicated thing I've ever cooked was hamburger helper. I'm considering asking my wife to help me. I haven't told her about the situation yet, but I know she's going to get a kick out of it and laugh at me for being a dumbass. She's never made chili for us, but I imagine whatever she can come up with will be miles ahead of any slop I could put together. Anyone got any better ideas? You heard the man. Internet sleuths whose diet consists 90% of noodles, go! Do you have a Costco? They have chili in their prepared food section and it's really good. Doctor it up with some salsa or sweet pickled jalapenos. God, that would look so... Okay, look, to be fair, it is chili. I mean... Does it ever look aesthetic? Well, they won't recognize if you repackage it and alter it slightly. I judged a barbecue competition a few years ago, and one of the categories was chili. Costco chili is far better than most of the 15 entries I tried. It looks homemade. There are big chunks of ground beef. I like to add salsa. Well, thank you for that advice, pretty mum. Not to dox you, but please tell us where you live so we make sure to never try the chili in your local area. But worst case, you could still try to make chili, just don't let anyone taste it. The Office Kevin's chili scene. Bring in a gigantic tub of terribly store-bought chili and make a huge show of it, then accidentally drop the pot and spill it everywhere. Here's the chili, everyone. Oh, great! I dropped it all over the floor. Oh, it's ruined now. Don't worry, OP. I know you put in a lot of effort making this. Oh, sure did. Everyone grab some spoons. There's pieces that haven't fallen on the floor completely. OP, why are you unbuckling your belt?
Oh, my pants fell off. My slippers. My bum's all... my bum's gone all over the chili. Oh, because no one's gonna eat it now.
You know, technically your desk has more bacteria.
No one's gonna eat it now!
I have been lying to my mom for 2 years about me graduating high school. It's a long story, so I'll get to the point. Basically, I was a very horrible student doing drugs, primarily marijuana and perks. I was out hoeing around with women, just having goofball smecks. I never paid attention in class. I always left whenever I wanted. The administration got so used to it that they would open the door for me and let me leave. Fast forward to when I'm supposed to graduate. I purposely fall down the stairs, injure my arm so my mom can come with me to the hospital, and I had my friend forge me a fake high school diploma, a copy of his, but photoshopped with my name, etc. I tell my mom my friend got my diploma, he grabbed it for me. I truly only attended a full day of school twice. Now I'm 20, working under my uncle in his landscaping business, but the guilt still haunts me to this day. Dude, I'm in two minds with this. On one hand, yeah, you're an idiot, but then also I pity the pressure that gets put on to the youth of, like, I remember finally graduating high school. I learned that someone I knew from my year level who never bothered to put much effort in, they got the same qualifications I did in high school just by doing a 6-month course for uni. Like, I could have just left high school 2-3 years early and just done that at uni, and I would have the same qualifications and at least 2.5 years of my time back. It's just, you realize that, and you think about all the stress and depression and mental health that was absolutely demolished by fearing high school was going to determine your future entirely. Though, as comments here say, well, if you really regret and you want to change the situation, you still can do it. It would require to cut from your personal spare time, but you are not only fooling your mom here, but first of all, you fool yourself. You limit your future career. One day, you'll be fed up with no possibility to grow further in your field. I know I regret what I did at least, but if you prefer to learn it the hard way, it's your call. Yeah, you may as well tell her. You're 20 years old now. Man up. You're working landscapes, so that is an admirable profession. But just let her know you were sorry for the deceptive behavior, but you were not thinking straight. Consider a GED, just to get it over with. You may want to be a certified landscaper someday. She is your mother, and, well, she will forgive you. Okay, that is good advice, but that last sentence clearly comes from a family life that didn't have a terrible mother. Get yourself that GED first, then let your mother know. You know, it's kind of like a, hey, I accidentally obliterated the wall in the house, but I fixed it before you came home, so all good. Hey, oh, I dropped out of high school, but then got my GED and went to community college, then transferred to a 4-year university. Fricked up, you lied and all that, but you can't change what you already did, so just make better decisions moving forward. You can do it, bud. Oh, let me just add a bit bit of a reverb to that line for you all. You can't change what you already did, so just make better decisions moving forward. That's for all you cheeky little buggers watching this video who have some sort of regrets or embarrassment from choices you made in the past, okay? Trust me, you're not alone with those feelings. I'm with you in solidarity. I said that reverb part while looking at a mirror. I sometimes go into the Apple store and flip all the photos upside down on one particular iPad. I used to be the kind of person who set all of the egg timers ready to go off just after I'd left the store. Nowadays, I just turn up the volume on a number of different iPads and set alarms and timers ready to create chaos and confusion after I've left. These kind of people are the true Walking Phoenix's jokers of society. One time in an airport, I paired my phone with the speakers they had on in the text shop. Oh no. I left the store and sat near enough to maintain connection. I then used this power to play Rick Astley at full volume. Every time they turned it down, I was able to turn it back up again from my phone. They connected their own phone. I could just reconnect from where I was sat. Eventually, they had to just switch it off and the store was left silent. Another time, I was in a shop that had these little lockable boxes for sale with tiny keys still in the keyholes. So, I locked a box and I put the key into another box. Then I locked that box and put that key in another box. And I repeated this for another 5 boxes, leaving behind a treasure hunt of small locked box mystery. I walk among you, a regular Joe, but a darkness lies within. All I want is chaos and confusion. If all I ever do is make it into one person's
You'll never guess what happened at work today.
story, then that's a win for me.
Yeah, you sound super annoying.
We found Satan. Okay, so I'm open to what you all think in the comments about this person. Like, how much of an a-hole are they? Because I was reading this with a genuine little cheeky smile on my face, kind of loving the absurdity and silliness of it. But the comments on Reddit, damn! It's like everyone who read this post happens to have been working in the retail stores this person was disrupting. Why would you do this? Genuinely. It's only disruptive. Maybe someone with a different sense of humor than me would find it silly if they were in public, but everything you described is so loud and obnoxious, I can't imagine anyone enjoying it in person. Yeah, your dark passenger seems to be controlling you. It sounds like one of those TikTok idiots who just think it's fun to ruin people's days. I mean, geez, this post has made me feel extremely young, because according to these people, I have the mentality of a 12-year-old. Now, don't worry if your opinion is against mine. Knowing my luck with karma, the moment I start my real-life job again this week, I'm going to definitely be dealing with someone who's going to do this. Getting rich off all my neighbors' laundry room use. I know where this is going, and I'm kind of all for it. I live in an older apartment building, and our laundry room consists of 2 washers and 2 dryers. These machines are the old school add $1 in quarters to start type. What people don't know is the receptor that catches quarters after the machines are started is always unlocked, and you can take your quarters back any time. I found this out a week or so ago, and to date, I've made around $30 and done my laundry absolutely free. Damn, get rich or dry trying. Get rich or die drying. Get rich or dry drying? Dry bich or dry drying. Dry or dry drying. The sound of thousands of footsteps all around the world who live in apartments suddenly checking their washing machines in their local space just to see if their communal laundry has this similar loophole. But as some comments here warn about this sort of tactic, I'd stop taking the extra money and just do your laundry for free as long as you can. There's going to be an average amount of money these machines are taking in each month that will be noticed if it's $120 short of that number if you continue at your pace. That's my 2 cents, but I'm taking that back right now.
Bring your 2 cents back here.
Yeah, speaking of unethical life pro tips, I don't know if it's the same for modern payment laundry machines, but for many, if you just figure out the serial code for the machine, apparently you should be able to find the correct key to buy online to then just be able to access it whenever you want anyway. Oh yeah, this happened at an apartment I work for. We installed cameras in dark corners. The tenant was evicted, as well as another one that was peeing down the drain. Oh! I leave early every day and do about 5 minutes of work. I do little to nothing every day at work. As I watch my coworkers stress about their work, my biggest accomplishment today was that I went pee on all 6 floors. Oh my God. God. I hope you who is watching this right now isn't frustratingly unemployed, because this is gonna tick you off. Every day is a struggle to look busy, to find stuff, to make the hours go by. I usually go to my car around 10:45 a.m. every day for a nap. I work an office job, and my lack of productivity is not passed on to coworkers, if it matters. Yeah, okay, look, with that last sentence, all of this is fair game. I no longer think this person is that scummy anymore. Though I don't think this is the most long-term strategy to stick to. We had a guy like this at work, and eventually we worked it out and fired him for shopping and playing golf on work time. He just took it on the chin and was honest and said, look, don't replace this role. There's literally nothing to do. I mean, hey, look. Yeah, you know, I'd give him a bit of a little applause as I fired him. He's an honest man. I appreciate that. That's what we need in this company. You're hired. Wait, I'd have a love-hate relationship with this. It's nice to be able to do nothing sometimes, but when you're still tied to the place for 8 hours, that nothing is spent not doing things you actually want to do and making it look like you're being productive. I still don't know if I'd trade it to be super busy, though. Yeah, okay, my personal relation to this, I was in a touring ABBA tribute band all over Australia for about 6 months. I'm not kidding, here's a photo for reference. Really long story short, I can't play piano, it was just a backing track. And my god, how amazingly boring it is to be on stage faking it. To this day, I still habitually yawn whenever I hear Fernando. Oh, I had worked like this for a while after another business unit last minute canceled a project I was supposed to be 75% on for 6 months. Honestly, it wasn't too bad. Manager understood and tried to find more projects for me, but they never really took much time. I'd go in, hammer out what tasks I did have in about the first hour, and just use my phone the rest of the time until I got an email ping. Used to walk the building a lot, chat with the maintenance guys, see what the other labs were up to. Was a stress-free cakewalk. Yeah, I know someone who had a job like that. He actually got himself a remote job he did from his first job to actually keep himself busy. Imagine your employee coming back to you, not because they want the work, they're just bored. I give my 3-year-old son counterfeit fast food. Now that's smart parenting. Don't know about you, but I think this no regrets tag is very justified. I save my son's McDonald's wrappers and Happy Meal boxes, then reuse them by serving him microwave chicken nuggets and oven French fries in them. I even throw in ketchup packets and a little toy he'd forgotten he had set to help sell the lie. He loves it, and I'm not sorry. No, you shouldn't be. This is, like, you can't, this isn't deceptive. This is too much effort and love, like, on your end. You putting in far too much effort for this to be cruel and rude, because like the person you're doing this to isn't suffering. They're getting free stuff. Hell, they get nice fresh food. You can't read this story and tell me that this is wrong in any way. Yeah, this is brilliant. BRB, gonna have kids just to try this. If it doesn't work, just throw them away. Hey, totally valid. They tried an experiment, didn't work, just get rid of it. You shouldn't be sorry for saving money for him or yourself to do better things in life, and for saving him eating too much McDonald's. Yeah, man, I honestly wish my parents were this deceptive on me instead of just constantly abiding by my sulking. Oh, I've heard of doing this with the name brand cereal too. Put the bagged generic stuff in the one brand name box and reuse it. Oh my god, if I ever have kids, I'm gonna be such... I'm gonna be such a scalper. They're gonna grow up thinking I got them the most premium stuff when I was just being like a homeless person going through garbage bins, finding any empty boxes.
Oh, perfect. This toilet paper's only 10% used.
I got caught shoplifting, and the cashier was a guy I matched on Bumble. I know this is very, very bad. Like, terrible. I was with a friend, and she kind of pleaded for me to go with her, so I obliged. Sales girls caught my friend shoplifting, and because I was with her, they dragged me along to their office too. And I took a pair of earrings. I realized that I knew the cashier, a guy who I matched with on Bumble months ago. He probably recognizes me, and it's terrible. I don't know what to do. I blocked him off of everything. It's so embarrassing. I feel guilty about the entire thing as it is, but I just needed to vent. First off, props to the OP here for just trying to put all the blame of the situation onto their friend before just trying to subtly admit through a few words that, oh yeah, I took some earrings as well. Yeah, but my friend pleaded for me to go with her with all this, so I obliged. Yeah, it was out of my control. Edit. I didn't get arrested. They just recorded our info and got banned from the store. I know, I messed up. I talked to my friend about this, and to be honest, the guilty conscience is already eating away. I'm in my late teens, and my friend is also in her late teens, but a tad younger than me. I can make up some lame excuse as to why I did it, but I'm not even gonna bother sugarcoating it. As to why I mentioned my friend in the first place, look, I am by no means trying to shift the blame onto her, I called it, but rather giving you an insight into my point of view. What I did was illegal and wrong, and I take full blame, and I'll learn from my mistakes. This is r/convention. My guilty conscience is beyond overwhelming, and I know this is karma, but giving me death threats isn't exactly putting out the fire. Jesus, who would read this and think, yes, this is, out of all the people out there committing the most heinous of crimes, you, for taking some $5 item from a convenience store, well, you certainly deserve the electric chair. Girl, why are you blaming your friend when you stole something too? Also, I promise the rando from Bumble does not care. Yeah, you gotta admit, it's kind of weird how this whole, the title is all about some guy from Bumble, but he's mentioned, once in a single sentence. But yeah, a lot of these comments are just hounding on the OP for their decisions to do this. How old are you? You sound very young. Some rando match on Bumble isn't going to mark your future. Move on and don't shoplift. You're reading too much into this. Why did you even shoplift? Like the local community market? Does everyone go to this single store? Is this where everyone collects their news for the day? You're scummy for stealing, but I mean, it's not that horrible. Yeah, the part where you might have a criminal record should be your concern, not the rando Bumble match guy. I would steal money from the till when I was a teenager. $50 every day. So we have a duopoly in Australia. Ooh, an Australian. I can remove my habit to speak these in an American neutral tone. We have a duopoly in Australia when it comes to supermarkets. I was at the legal age to work, about 15, and would find it absolutely insufferable to stand in the one spot serving people for 4 hours. Time went incredibly slowly. I spent a lot of my time calculating how cash was going through my till per hour, and then how many tills there were in the store, then how many would be in my city. I can't remember the numbers, but it was a frick ton of revenue. And these guys were operating on very, very healthy margins. Not that it justifies what I ended up doing, but it certainly helped my conscience. On top of this, the till would always be off by $20 to $50 each time it was counted by the supervisor. If it was off by an unusual number, like $17.35, then there was a mistake made at some point and questions would be asked. But a whole round number? No problem. It must be an issue somewhere else in the chain. Therefore, when I handed in my resignation, for every shift in my last 2 weeks, I would steal $50 from the till. Now, this was in the 2000s, so I don't know how good security cameras were, but I knew where they were and would simply slide the money out and drop it on the floor, then a few minutes later, go to tie my shoelaces and slip it into my socks. Bro's acting like he's working at a prison. That $50 would go to buying lunches at school, and when I got change, shouting my friend a can of cherry Coke from the vending machines. I do not feel bad about doing this at all. Now I just gotta say, as a fellow Australian who would have to deal with the costs like this, good on you. Coles and Woolworths literally made profit during COVID, but apparently still need to drastically inflate the prices over the last 4 years. Now, no, I'm not encouraging my fellow Australians to just go ahead and shoplift when they can. I'm just saying, make sure you didn't match with anyone who worked at those supermarkets on Bumble. Yeah, I used to pretend to scan, but not actually scan many items for poor-looking people, like meat and stuff. It got to where I had regulars who would only come in when I was serving. God, I hated that job, but Robin Hooding during it made it bearable. Okay, but this does get people somewhat skeptical. I mean, first and most importantly, frick Colesworth. Absolutely, Captain Ducky. But okay, how would the till always be off by $20 to $50? Everywhere I've worked with a till, if it was off by even 10 cents, it was an issue. If you wanted to steal money, you had to just not ring stuff up in the first place. Hey, lion. Now, I've never worked at either of these, so any Australians who have, in the comments, let us know down below just how pedantic they can be about this stuff. I did similar at Video Easy by adjusting deals within the system so the till wouldn't be out. I was on $5.87 an hour in around 2008. Fairly underpaid, I think, so I felt somewhat justified.
Put my divorced parents who hate each other in the same nursing home. Karma is a Mom and Dad. I appreciate how you always included me in your childhood drama. It's very unfortunate that you two thought it was funny to act like kids while making me take on the role of an adult. The roles have now been reversed. You both need someone to look after you because you're elderly. It was clearly not going to be me. I hope you two can work it out and enjoy one another's company for the remainder of your wretched lives. Did you know your mother or father are in the same nursing home? Is the call I'm waiting for. Yes. I will now relax and savor my cold beverage. I ate a battery as a kid and never told my parents. When I was a kid, I somehow ended up swallowing one of those small watch batteries. Don't ask me how. I panicked for a bit, but nothing happened. No pain, no problems. I just went on with my day like it never happened. I never told my parents, and to this day, I still have no idea how I didn't get sick or anything. Probably the dumbest thing I ever did as a kid that had zero consequences. Well, I guess if you're gonna swallow any battery, that would be the lowest risk one to swallow, but I like that. I somehow ended up swallowing. Yeah, don't ask me how. I know you remember, and I know it's incredibly dumb and would probably be embarrassing. You were a kid, okay? You probably went, wonder what would happen. Swallows battery. Oh, wait a minute. I hate my dead brother, and I resent my parents for refusing to acknowledge how much of a failure he was. These are complicated emotions, so I'll try to be as brief as I can. I had a brother who would be 43 if he were still alive today. My brother was a star high school athlete and would have college scouts attend his games. Everyone talked about how he would play in the NFL and make millions of dollars. I, being much younger, practically worshipped him. But toward the end of his junior year, the unthinkable happened. He sustained an injury to his knee that ended his football career. Our family is well off, so he didn't need a scholarship to attend college. Even still, my brother had his heart set on playing college football and never quite accepted that that dream was over for him. He attended 2 different schools, dropping out both times due to alcohol and substance abuse. My parents tried to help out, but he spiraled. He went from job to job, friend's couch to friend's couch, until he finally met a woman who was just as messed up as he was. They had a kid together, my nephew, now 14. But that wasn't enough to make him shape up. He drank a bottle of liquor, wrapped his car around a tree one night, and there you have it. I was in graduate school at the time, and my parents gave my nephew's mom a pile of money to relinquish her parental rights and give my nephew over to them. She accepted, and eventually OD'd in a crack house a few years later. My parents had custody of my nephew for the first couple of years, but since they're both in their 70s and can't keep up with a young kid, he's lived with me since he was 10. I want to make it clear that I don't resent my nephew. I mean it when I say that he's the best thing in my life, and I look very much alike. My brother and I also look very much alike, and most people think that he's my son, even if they look at me a little what? For being so young with a teenager in tow. Last weekend was his freshman homecoming dance, and my parents came over to take a picture of him and his date. The comments they made were nauseating. So handsome. You look so much like your dad. He would be so proud. I stood in the background wanting to scream. What did my brother ever do for his son? Why didn't he think this wonderful boy was worth living for? Who's actually been there for my nephew for all of the big moments in his life? Not his dad, that's for sure. But of course, I can't say any of this out loud. My parents won't hear a word against my brother, and as for my nephew, I dare not say any of this in front of him because I don't want him to hate the part of him that comes from his dad. So instead, I confess these feelings to you fine people. Judge me, Reddit. I am glad that you confess these to strangers or these feelings to strangers and don't mention any of it to the family members. You know, he's allowed to love his dad. Your parents are allowed to love him too. As someone who's suffered from substance abuse, it's not always, them being a complete purposeful asshole. Depression makes you do horrible things. Yeah, it makes you do those things, okay? It's not like I can just go, oh, wait a minute, I could just be happy and it's all over. It's not how it works. So I get where you're coming from, for sure. You make great points. But on the other side of that coin, maybe your brother wasn't the devil, okay? That's just my 2 cents on that matter. I witnessed my friend's girl cheating on him. Oh boy. So long story short, I witnessed the girl of a really good friend of mine cheating on him. I wasn't gonna get involved, but the guy she was cheating on him with saw me back. Neither her nor my friend know that I know. Only that guy does. This happened 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure if that guy mentioned anything to the girl. I would have done it if I was him, so that she is aware. My instincts are all telling me to stay out of it. In the end, I'll tell him and they fight, then go back together, and then I'm branded the guy who came between them. And then my friend avoids me because he doesn't want to be a cuck in my eyes. But my reason tells me if I keep shut and he discovers and they break up, then I was the guy who knew and betrayed him by not telling him. Yeah, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Is your friend actually the type of guy to get pissed off that you warned him about this? Because if so, maybe find a different friend. Not to put this on this guy, by the way. That's not what I mean to do. I'm thinking about slipping him an anonymous note with all the details and let him figure it out and confront her. Any ideas you guys have where I don't lose the friendship? I guess I was being selfish. I'll tell him in a few hours face to face. Already scheduled to pick him up after work to help me move something, just so that no alarms are raised until I actually tell him. We'll share how it went. Told him. He just sighed and got sad and started explaining himself to me. He basically is blaming himself for working too much. told him nothing justifies it. I think it is likely they will break up now, as he doesn't seem to be the kind of guy to forgive or forget a betrayal. Well, that's a weight off of my chest. And you thought that he's not the type of guy to forgive or forget a betrayal, and you thought that he was going to get back together with her and hate you for being the guy that came between them? I matched with a girl on Hinge. She didn't look anything like her profile, so I got my friend to call me and say he was in the hospital, so I had an excuse to leave. I matched with this girl on Hinge. We were texting back and forth and called for over 2 hours. The chemistry seemed good over the phone, and she was pretty on her profile. She invited me over after about a day of talking. I was really looking forward to it since we had good chemistry over the phone at least. However, the second she opened the door, my excitement was completely eradicated. She was not recognizable to her profile, and in a bad way. I obviously didn't tell her what I thought, but in the back of my mind, I was pretty pissed off, but grateful I didn't spend months texting her. So I texted my friend, call me in 30 minutes and make some BS up. I got catfished on Hinge. He does just that. Says he's in the hospital because he got into a boating accident at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. I explained the situation and tell her I should probably go. I think she knows it was a bullshit. It was bullshit. Wow. But she didn't say anything. When I got home, I started feeling very guilty, and in hindsight, I wish I just tanked it and stayed an extra hour or so, as she probably felt pretty awful after I left. But at the same time, she put a very unrealistic representation of herself on her dating profile. My friend said I should have told her that she didn't look like her profile and just left. But to me, that's more mean, but it is the truth. Please tell me, guys, how should I have handled this? I mean, I don't know. Are you getting it that she was heavier? Like she gained some weight or something? What are you getting at that you're so afraid to say here? Because you say, not recognizable to her profile, in a bad way. See, we don't know what that means. Is she literally a completely different person? Or was it just an older photo or something like that? You actually spent that long? I've been there. I stayed, had half a drink, said the pics you shared are obviously not you. I appreciate it, but I'm leaving. Asked why. Said if you're willing to lie about something as basic as what you look like, that's something I'd find out immediately. I definitely couldn't trust anything beyond that. I see that 100%. I do maybe 20 minutes of work per week at my salaried job. I work from home for a company where I've reached the peak of my job title, at least at this company. I'm the only person of my role at my company. My boss is the manager of 5 other people, all different roles as well. This whole place is incredibly mismanaged and chaotic. I do maybe 20 minutes of work a week. Monday, I'm given my task, and for the rest of the week, I dick around on Reddit and YouTube until Thursday when I sit down and power out the solution in 20 minutes. On Friday, we review it, and usually it's given a pass, and that's it. And they think it took me all week to do this. I'm bored as hell. I hate going on Reddit and YouTube, but I don't have the energy nor ambition to do anything else. I get paid very well and pass all of my reviews with flying colors. They all think I'm working hard, but I don't do shit. I hate it and love it at the same time. I hate it because after 2 years of this, I've completely lost my work ethic. I wish I could do something more, but I'm almost 40. Who gives a shit? I don't know. At this point, it seems like you're due for a hobby. Find something you can spend this easy income on, and that might help you out a little bit. I found out my husband has been making life decisions based on his ex's note. Background on my husband: he was a fat, lonely kid, often bullied, no friends. Then he met Maya, his first and only friend. Like my husband, Maya was also a misfit, came from a dysfunctional family, and they became best friends. When they were 15, Maya was... She was badly injured and in a coma for 2 weeks. The perpetrators, as they were minor, weren't jailed, I believe. They got out with minor punishments. This is the story I've heard from my husband and in-laws. Maya decided to end her own life right after she woke up and only wrote one letter of goodbye, which was addressed to my husband. I had never read this letter as I wanted to preserve his privacy, and it always felt too personal. On to my story. I've been noticing weird things about my husband for a while. We had our first baby when we were 27. I wanted to wait a little before our second, but my husband wanted one, and when he turned 30, he would mumble things like, it has to be 30, it should be at 30. At 30, I had my second kid, a girl, named her Maya. Now, I often find him hugging her or crying, asking an infant if he is doing a good job at being a father. We have to go on yearly vacations. Even when our kids were babies and were busy, he forced us on a vacation. Now that he's turning 35, he insists we buy a bigger house. Again, keeps mumbling the house is at 35. Well, I read the letter. It was laminated and filed. He keeps it in a safe along with other important documents such as, deeds and whatnot. It was a very sweet letter. Basically thanked him for being there for her and that she concluded it with wishing he lives his perfect life. Life where he graduates at 24, marries at 26, has babies at 27 and 30, moves into a big house at 35, always goes on fancy vacations, ends with him being 90, reading stories to his grandkids. She also tells him to be a good father and husband. If he ever gets tired, she wants him to thank for her suffering because of her family. Now that I've read everything, and I know that my husband has been planning his entire life based on that letter, I feel so weird. I had to tell someone. I don't blame you for feeling weird. I don't even know. There's nothing I can or should say. I have eaten almost exclusively peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for years. You sicko! I'm 27 years old, a grown adult, and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches make up a solid 90% of my diet. Breakfast is a PB&J. Sometimes I'll toast the bread, mix it up a little. Lunch is 1 or 2 PB&Js, maybe with a side dish like an apple if I'm feeling really hungry. Dinner is 2 PB&Js. I take vitamins every day to make sure I'm getting my nutrients that I don't get from my sandwiches. It's not that I don't like other food, I've just never found a food I liked as much as them. When I still lived with my parents, I was careful to hide this habit from them. I would eat toast for breakfast every day, and lunch was, of course, my PB&J. When my mom made dinner, I would take a small portion and pretend to eat it, then have peanut butter and jelly later. God damn, you really like them. I mean, I do too, but Jesus. I thought I would grow out of it by the time I started college until I realized how easy and cost-effective it is to just buy bread, jelly, and peanut butter and call it a day. When the roommates stressed about cooking and groceries, I knew my trusty PB&J would always be there for me. We shared a fridge and were always too busy with classes for anyone to notice what I ate. Now that I live alone, I don't have to worry about anyone judging me for my eating habits, and I couldn't be happier. I keep my diet a secret because I know it's unusual and I don't want... Well, sure, unusual, but what I would do, if this is really gonna be it for a long, long time, I would definitely let your doctor know. Hey, doc, this is how I eat, and I take supplements, and I try to make sure that I'm not devoid of certain vitamins and minerals and whatnot. Is this bad? Because I've got a sneaky suspicion that, as time goes on, your body's gonna start getting pissed off. But again, I would just talk to your doctor about that, because if doc is like, sure, that's fine, then cool, dude, go for it. I'm very tempted to turn my client into the police. I just started working as a child psychologist 2 months ago in August after finally finishing my master's. So far, as I start from the bottom, my job has been assessing and diagnosing problematic adolescents. I've had a dozen clients so far, most of whom have been very easy to work with. Girls with eating disorders, boys with drug problems, nothing too hard. My last client, 16, who I will call X, however, left me somewhat disturbed. When I first met X, his mom dropped him off and left for our hour-long session. At first, he seemed to be very calm and even a handsome young boy. He described to me why his parents urged him to go through with the sessions. Most of it was due to being antisocial, such as sibling bullying and arson, stealing, pathological lying, including the physical abuse he was subject to by his parents growing up. However, he told me towards the end that he had killed 3 cats. Me, personally, an animal lover, my view completely shifted. I was disgusted as he described the way he took these cats out, stating that he strangled the first 2 and crushed the 3rd with his foot, even using a hammer to weaken the 2nd cat before he killed it. He also explained how his mom, dad, and family have no idea of these acts. I kept a straight face throughout and tried to act professional despite knowing X is completely deranged. Now here's the issue. I have to see him in 3 days for another session, and my work right now is to make a formal diagnosis on the boy and select his treatment method if there will be a diagnosis, which I haven't decided, although conduct disorder seems extremely likely. However, I feel disgusted by this psychopathic child, and I'm not sure if I can do another session with him. I'm afraid I might act unprofessional due to how appalling I found his actions. He also stated he felt no remorse or guilt. That does sound like textbook psychopathy or psychopathy, however you pronounce it. I really feel for you there, but you owe it to the world he could be a danger to finish this. I'm sorry to say, I'd be in the exact same position if I were you. I'd be disgusted and terrified. But again, like I said, you owe it to the community at large that he could start harming one day to finish this and get him treated really, really fast. Because he is going to start killing people. He is going to try horrible, horrible things aimed at people soon enough. And torturing cats to death is already a 10 out of 10 on the scale of what the fuck. But he's about to go to 11. Just give him like a decade and he'll be there, okay? So please, I hope that for the love of God, you went through and finished this job. 2 Redditors saved my life back in 2019. I'd gotten out of prison, landed a job, and moved out of a halfway house into my own studio. I became a functional member of society, so of course my family started asking me for money. I ended up losing my job, and due to my felony, I was hesitant to apply for jobs where I was qualified and would make good money. I thought I had an extra week of unemployment benefits, so I used what I had to help my family buy food, even though I wasn't living with them and none of them worked. The next unemployment check would cover my groceries and rent. Well, there was no next unemployment check. I had run out of benefits and was short on rent. I asked Reddit if I could return groceries a week after buying them, and Redditors were confused as to why I was asking such a weird question. I said I was short on rent money, and after thinking that I had another week of benefits, you see. 2 Redditors sent me $75, which was enough to cover my rent. I was not looking for money. I guess they pitied me. A few days later, I unexpectedly was offered a job making $35 an hour. My last job paid me $17.50. I managed to pass a background by faking some stuff. The pandemic hit, and my position became remote. I ended up moving out of my shitty studio with no no kitchen sink and view of the parking lot into a spacious apartment by the ocean with fireplace and oversized tub. I've been at my job and my apartment ever since. I cannot emphasize how that $75 saved me. I would have killed myself before living on the streets, and this was before COVID. I know I'm an outlier, and most people would have blown it on other things, but I wish I could let those 3 people know. It was a white girl and an Asian guy. They helped me more than my own family. It's actually kind of crazy to see how, like, a $75 to most of us, I would say, it's a lot of money, right? It's a chunk of change for sure. But in the grand scheme, it is a small amount. When it comes to rent, it's a small amount, okay? And how little a number that really is makes it just insane to see how it saved this person's entire existence. I have a small penis, and I feel like a dehumanized piece of trash because of how society treats me. Like, treats you specifically, or just treats men that have small dicks? I have a small dick. I don't want to say how small, but it's always tormented me. Not because it's impossible to find women who don't care, but because of the way others treat and perceive me. I see. Okay. Not because it's impossible to find women who don't care, but I see. Because of something I was born with and have no ability to control, I will always be associated with the worst stereotypes and phrases, and be nothing but a joke in popular culture. Hearing someone say small dick energy is deeply hurtful, and people trying to gaslight me into thinking it's not really body shaming, as some in this thread will do, is even more harmful. No matter how much I try to love myself, the reminders are always there, and everyone laughs, and nobody bats an eye. Nobody says anything. Nobody cares. Having a small dick can be very lonely sometimes, and please don't tell me that it isn't an impediment to pleasing most women. I'm well aware, but it's still an invisible scarlet letter, and the only form of body shaming that no one ever objects to or realizes is wrong. Well, I mean, there's also the height thing, There's a few things about everyone that just always seems to be an okay joke, I guess. Not that I think it's okay. I beg you from the bottom of my heart to please stop making life harder for us. Stop saying people like Trump and Hitler have micro penises. Stop saying people have small dick energy. Stop treating it like it's the worst shame any man could ever have. Stop dehumanizing me. Look, there's not really anything I can say about this one without suddenly people going, hey man, we didn't ask, so I'm just gonna move on. But I get where you're coming from, but I could also see it being more lighthearted than that. There was a guy once I genuinely adored. I had a huge crush on him for years and wanted to date him so bad. He was so sweet and single and all around a great guy. I'd been subtly trying for years to go out with him, but he never agreed. Finally, I just straight up asked if he'd want to go out on a date. It was fantastic. I was so happy. And afterwards, I wanted to kiss him and went for it. He froze and pushed me away, accusing me of making fun of him. I was so confused. I wanted to kiss him and maybe more. Why would he think I was being a dick? He said it was obvious that I was trying to see for myself how pathetic he was, and he'd given me the benefit of the doubt, but now he knew I was just like the other whores who led him on so they could laugh at him. At this point, I was confused and crying. I didn't understand. I asked why he would think this way. I really liked him and had wanted this for years. Why would he think I, as a friend and possible lover, would want to hurt him? He didn't answer, just dropped me off while saying I was just like the rest and blocked me from there. I never saw him again, and the mutual friends we had said he'd ranted about how much of a slut I was and how he was, well, good and rid of me. I asked one of them what I did wrong, and he told me that the guy was extremely insecure because he wasn't very big down there, and he thought I knew and wanted to mock him when I went for a kiss. That's weird. The saddest bit about this is that I enjoy all dick sizes because I care about the people they're attached to. I'd been just as happy to hop on top as anyone else I was attracted to, and figure out how to make us feel good from there. I not only lost a potential partner, but I lost a good friend too because of his own insecurities and assumptions. I'm sorry you feel this way. The world can be unkind to people who don't fit the mold of idealism, but you don't need to be ideal in everyone's mind to be ideal for the right person. I hope you find a way to love yourself as you are, because I promise someone else will, even if you won't believe it. It's a very good sentiment to realize. Yes, seriously. When people make the half joke of, it's not the size of the vessel, it's the motion in the ocean, that is actually true kind of across the board, okay? That is true. Fellas, it's okay. Trust me, it's okay. Your penis is not the most important part of you, no matter what other people have made you think in the past. My wife doesn't know there are anchovies in Worcestershire or Worcester sauce, and I can't tell her. My wife used to like Caesar salads, and then she found out the dressing has anchovies, and now she can't eat it because it grosses her out. She used to love pad thai. When she found out it has fish sauce in it, she can't stand it anymore. She swears she can taste the fish. I recently found out Worcester sauce has anchovies in it, and I cannot tell her, because if I do, I know she won't eat it anymore, and I want to keep using it in recipes for things like meatloaf. Yeah, that shit's kind of weird. That psychological change when you know specifically how the sausage is made. I pretended that my car wouldn't start to get the day off work. They sent someone to my house to pick me up. They win this one. I was hoping to spend the day applying to better paid positions, and there's some chores I need to catch up on, but nope, now I'm going to work. GG, well played. No, you don't get, I get it. I do get it, but I didn't ask you to send somebody to pick me up. I'm not a f***ing child. Go away. I said I'm not coming in. End of the story. I'd be like, no, you tell that jackass to go back, man. No. Thinking about ending relationship with my boyfriend because of his Klinefelter syndrome? We've been together for over a year. I knew from the beginning that something wasn't right, but he didn't tell me that he has Klinefelter syndrome. You gonna explain that, or? Okay, well, he looks good. We're both 25. He's tall and has nice features. He really had this role going in the beginning of the relationship, the I do so much stuff and have goals act. The first time we had sex was an indicator for me that something was not quite right. Really small testicles, female-like genital hair, very small penis, long arms and legs. Okay. Anyway, but since that's not the main point of dating, I looked past it. He was really kind and I had fun with him until we moved in together. I'm an entrepreneur, studying at uni as well, wow, and really high maintenance. I like to live in organized and clean environments. Same. Take care of myself, have clear goals, and see a therapist, and basically understand what my future, or that my future is in my hands, and I can decide what direction I want to go in life. My boyfriend is messy. I didn't know that, since we had always hung out at my place, and he really wanted to portray this image that he had his life together. Once we started to live together, he dropped out of school, doesn't know what job he would like to do, and doesn't really even know who he is. That's okay. We all need time to learn who we are. Now that we're in a year into the relationship, the issues are starting to bug me. He can't empathize with people, talks really slow, has no interest, and doesn't seem bothered by it. Basically, all he does is play PlayStation and constantly visit his parents if I'm busy working because there's always food nearby and mom does my laundry. If I don't talk, clean, take care of him, pay bills, etc., nothing happens. Apartment's full of his mess, clothes, dishes, trash, and we don't talk, not even mentioning the sex. In the last 1 year, we've had sex 3 times, and I am very sexually active women normally, okay? I've talked with my therapist so much about this, tried to politely ask questions about what he would like to do with his life, etc., but the answer is always, I don't know. So recently I found out from his mother that he has XXY chromosomes. Read all about it, and it makes perfect sense. I brought it up with him a month ago, and he wasn't bothered. He said that he should have every 10 weeks testosterone shots, but he's too lazy to book an appointment, and that doesn't bother him. I've talked about wanting to have a family this whole relationship, and he told me that he can't have kids. Anyways, we had a long talk and booked an appointment with the doctor. He didn't go. It was last week. If I bring it up, he just says I'll book it later, and I know that he won't if I don't do it for him. So the confession is that I am a horrible person for wanting to end this. I really want a man who could also mutually support me in life and want me sexually and grow as a human being with me and start a family someday. I feel like I'm holding my own life at pause, taking care of him without getting anything back, and it's okay for some time, but after talking with his mom, it's been going on since he's been a child. This feels horrible to be thinking like this. Some days I just fantasize about a real relationship where we could go do something else other than me taking care of him and him playing games. I feel torn between relationships aren't perfect, he's a kind human and I should help him, maybe someday he'll grow up and it will be worth it, and I need to take care of myself and pursue my dream life without him. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm gonna be real with you, hold on. Genetic condition that occurs when a male has an extra X chromosome. Gotcha. May include breast growth, infertility, osteoporosis, and learning difficulties. Treatments usually involve physical and emotional therapy as well as hormone replacement. I had no idea. It seems like it's pretty rare too. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'd look to the Reddit comments for that one because ain't no way I'm gonna be of any help whatsoever. I forced myself to have a miscarriage behind my husband's back. You might have clicked on this thinking this was some sob story about maybe not being able to afford an abortion. Maybe something like, I had to escape a relationship? This isn't that story. So you were warned, and I don't give a fuck about what the comments have to say. I'm 27, and I've been with my husband since I was 23. I've known since I was 18 I didn't want children. I like kids, just not for me. I'm too selfish, too independent, and like quiet too much. I get it. I've always told my husband that I don't want kids. I'd never want them, and if he wanted a child, we shouldn't be together. He's a criminal lawyer and loves his job. He didn't want kids either. Always maintained that, so together we were happy. I'm on the pill. Half the time he pulls out, shit happens, and I ended up being pregnant about 3 months ago now. Looking down at that positive in the test, I took it as a half-assed joke. It felt like a death sentence. I ran out to tell my husband. It's something he should know. What did he do? A man who deals deals with horrific criminal cases and never sheds a tear, started crying because he was happy. I was disgusted and he was happy. He was hugging me and kissing me, and when I told him I thought he didn't want kids, he said he hadn't until the possibility of a child was here, and now it was all he wanted. That's not the possibility of a child. Your horrified and disgusted wife or girlfriend or whatever, suddenly being pregnant is not the chance. That's not how that works. The chance is, maybe I do want kids, she says. You know what? That does sound great. That's not what this is, my guy. I couldn't tell him this was terrible. How was I meant to tell him I wanted out? Gone. Forgotten. I tried to come to terms with it. I love him more than anyone, so I figured I'd wait for the maternal feeling to overwhelm me, and then he was talking about names and the gender, and I thought I was gonna scream. It felt like betrayal. He promised me he didn't want kids. He made me think I didn't have to give him a baby, and I realized that a child is not something you have to make someone happy. They deserve love and attention, and I didn't want to give it any. I couldn't go to the doctors. He'd find out about, well, the whole thing. He's a lawyer. He can smell bullshit from 10 million miles away, and he knows all the right people. Knows the doctor I'd go to, and knows about the patient confidentiality, but I just knew he'd know, okay? I could feel it in my bones. Besides, I'd come back from surgery all sick and sore, unable to walk, and he'd notice. He's too smart. So I Googled how to miscarry. I drank all the teas, ate all the bad things, and did all the exercises, and made sure to drink alcohol when he wasn't around, and I went out. I took medicine I wasn't meant to. It had been a month, and he was planning to go to the doctors, and I knew I couldn't. Knew they'd figure out what I was up to, so I pushed back and ordered pills online. I took them, destroyed the evidence, and the next thing you know, it's 1 a.m. and I wake up to find myself bleeding. Relief. I got up, threw my underwear in the bin, and put some period underwear on, and took one of my pills my husband uses to help sleep and slept through it. I woke up around the same time as him and looked down and feigned the disaster. I pretended to sob and cry and be distraught, and when he held me through it just fine, he insisted I go to a doctor, but I knew I couldn't with everything in my system, so I acted too upset. My friend's a doctor and she checked me out. I'm fine. It's okay. I didn't hurt myself. I know the risks, okay? But an animal trapped will gnaw off its own leg to escape. I told him I didn't want kids anymore because I was so traumatized. He agreed and left it be. I'm getting the implant.